Heritage Archaeology and Conservation Studies. We have been fortunate enough to be a part and be arranging this conference. And now, at first, I'd like to invite our director, sir, Dr. Fanikant Mishra, to give us the welcome address.
Thank you very much, Anuja. It is with great excitement that I welcome you to the first regional conference on Eastern Heritage, Archaeology and Conservation Studies 21 of the Heritage Cell of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, West Bengal. First of all, I want to welcome our Vice Chancellor, Professor Saikat Mitra, who was the mind behind this conference. And he only initiated us to do this kind of program so that some new things should come out of these deliberations. I take this opportunity to thank him for giving us his views, and I welcome all learned participants, scholars of this first regional conference of Eastern Indian Heritage, Archaeology and Conservation. Actually, we have very eminent speakers today, very eminent scholars here who would be joining us, and the keynote address will be delivered by our esteemed friend and a great scholar, Dr. Atul Verma, who was ex-director of Archaeology, Government of Bihar, and has done a lot of works in his tenure as Director of Archaeology. He would be speaking to us on his great work that was Telhara Excavation. It is a very large archaeological site, and as we know that Telhara is one of the famous Buddhist sites which is situated very nearby Nalanda district. This was the place where Chinese traveler Yuan Sang visited and has mentioned about 7 monasteries, contains many remains, and we have evidences here from Gupta period till Pal period. So Dr. Atul Verma will be telling us in his keynote address about this. Heritage Cell functioning in MAKAUT under the leadership of our esteemed learned VC, Professor Saikat Mitra, is dedicated to protecting, promoting, and preserving the cultural heritage of all cultures. Here in this conference, we have tried our level best to give platform for researchers and indigenous groups to unite, share knowledges, and enhance the protection of cultural heritage. Nowadays, it is truism to say that the world is in crisis, and the discipline of archaeology, firmly situated in the contemporary world, is meant to be in crisis too. So this special event offers us an opportunity to share the results of your research. The voices of the scholars will be welcomed. This conference will feature renowned scholars with the keynote forum and many more networking opportunities. The idea to join in this archaeological intellectual conference is also to discuss how we can protect our heritages and what are the problems faced by archaeologists, historians, conservators, and other people who are involved in this field. I feel it an opportunity to welcome our great eminent scholars like Professor Durga Basu, who is well known in the field of archaeology, who had a big experience of Calcutta University as the professor and teaching archaeology. She will be with us, and we have many other scholars like Professor Dr. I.R. Sai Kumar, Professor Abhishek Roy, Dr. Sharmila Gupta, Mr. Devajit Ghosh, Ms. Ahana Ghosh, Ms. Tanmay Haldar, Atmaja Bose, and Dr. Kantal Narayana Chaudhary and Dr. Shri Achi Chaudhary. So I take this opportunity to welcome you all on this August occasion, and with this we start our next program with the keynote address. Ms. Anuja, please take up.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we will like to give a short introduction to our keynote speaker. Uh, Yes, Dr. Atul Verma, an adaptable and resourceful archaeologist with successful track record and vast knowledge of investigating, excavating, and analyzing archaeological facts and monuments. He pursued his BA in honors in ancient Indian history and archaeology from Patna University, and then he pursued his master's in ancient Indian history and archaeology with a special paper on archaeology from University of Patna, and he was awarded his doctoral degree on the Neolithic culture of Eastern India under Patna University, and has also pursued his postgraduate diploma degree from Institute of Archaeology. He has been Director Archaeology, Department of Art, Culture and Youth, Government of Bihar for 8 years, and before that he was Excavation Officer and Senior Excavation and Technical Assistant. He has been part of several notable archaeological excavations in sites like Chiran, Taravi, Kurukshetra, and obviously the topic sir today will be talking about is Telhara. And I welcome sir, and please sir join us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I was expecting Vice Chancellor of Maulana Azad University, but unfortunately, he is not there. Anyway, my sincere thanks to Vice Chancellor. My sincere thanks to Mr. P.K. Mishra ji. He is my senior colleague, and he is always inspiring to me. And also thanks Anuja Bose for inviting me here to read out my paper on Telhara excavation. I started my excavation at Telhara in December 2009. Yeah, what I remember, yeah, that was 26 December 2009, when CM, Chief Minister of Bihar, he was kind enough to visit the site and inaugurated that excavation. He has got a lot of interest in archaeology, and he was very keen to know about the culture of Bihar. Whenever he visited any district, he generally used to visit archaeological site also. So straight away I'm coming to my work at Telhara. As we know, Bihar was a hub of education in ancient period during Gupta and Pala period. Many Mahaviharas was in existence, like Nalanda, Vikramshila, Dantapuri, etc. During that period, Brahmical and Buddhist education prevailed parallelly. The Brahmical system evolved around the Gurukulas and individual teachers, but the Buddhist won around the viharas and monasteries, and giving way to the monastic system of education, which was comparatively speaking better organized. Several such vihara was set up in Bihar, and some of them developed in Mahaviharas or universities. Bihar is a paradise for Indian archaeologists. We know there are very important discoveries of such historical sites like Vaishali, Kesaria, Patliputra, Nalanda, Vikramshila, Chiran, Taradi, Senwar, etc. The land of Magadha was the tapasthali of Lord Buddha. My voice is clear, Anuja?
Yes, sir, you're perfectly audible.
Yeah. The land of Magadha was the tapasthali of Lord Buddha, as we know, and has particular importance in Indian history. When Magadha Empire was flourishing, especially during Gupta period, it was the world's biggest hub of education. Even during and after Pala dynasty, there were several Mahaviharas around Nalanda where students would go to study. The region of Magadha and its surroundings is dotted with several big and small institutions and monasteries. The global popularity of universities such as Nalanda, Dhantapuram, Ghoshrama, Kapotika Vihara, Dharavat, Vikramshila glorifies Bihar's past and affluence. One more important site was developed further, namely Teladhakya, that is Telhara, which grew into monastery or university. One may find the name Teladhakya incorporated in the travel account of Xuanzang and Itse, but was unidentifiable. With the passage of time, it lost in obscurity and there developed a huge mound. The mound, popularly known as Bulandi Mound, lies in a fertile village, Telhara, in the Kangarsarai block of Nalanda district, and is flanked by two rivers, Suri and Patra. The elaborate Nalanda Mahavihara lies in its close proximity, only 33 kilometers east of this site. Telhara also served as the capital of one of the biggest and largest pargana in the region.
Sir, are you sharing any PPT, sir?
Yes?
Are you sharing any PPT, sir?
No, it's not in PPT. Actually, I'm not in Patna. I'm also in Patna. I'm in Delhi. So just didn't prepare in PPT. But I will show some photographs that is saved in my mobile.
Yes, sir. Please, please
Das.
continue, sir.
In the survey map prepared by the administration 1842-43 showed Telhara as a pargana. Buchanan he visited and has visited Telhara and has mentioned as an important state of Bihar at the time of permanent settlement, that is 1972, with Muhammad Bakir Khan, the nephew of Nawab Sirajuddaulah. He lived in considerable prosperity in the early 19th century and the time of Buchanan visit to the area. On the eve of independence, communal right in Bihar, 1946-47 occurred was the worst affected. And this Telhara was, I was told by local that this area was worst affected. And was, so I can explain the things, what they told me here. There is one mosque in the eastern side, 200 meters away from Buland. Actually, where I excavated, the site or that mound is known as a Bulandi Mound. In eastern side of that Bulandi Mound, where the present excavation is going on, which has been described by several scholars like Broadley, Cunningham, etc. All these scholars have pointed mosque was built with material carried nearby Buddhist structures, and it is considered as the earliest mosque in Bihar. The mosque is known as Sanghi Masjid. There is a huge mound which part the Buddhist complex. It is mentioned that Bakhyar Khilji, during his conquest of Dhantapuram, has moved south from Mane. Mane, that is one place near Patna. It is said that Bakhyar Khilji camped at Telhara. First, he destroyed Telhara monastery, and then he moved from here to Dantapuri and Nalanda and attacked there. Telhara had a prominent place in this region. It was the capital of one of the largest pargana during the period of Mughal rule. Telhara or Tila Dhaka was one of the monastic establishments most extensively described by Xuanzang, the famous Chinese pilgrim who visited India in the 7th century. Xuanzang had measured about 50 monasteries flourishing in Magadh during his visit. Villages in Magadh is replete with ancient remains of glorious past. Buried beneath them spect of the ancient Nalanda University, all the ancient monasteries of Magadh are still buried under biomass. Chinese monk Xuanzang described of ancient Nalanda University was so compelling that Sir Alexander Cunningham and other Orientalists in the 19th century and early 20th century opened the mount at Bargaon to reveal the remains of ancient Nalanda University for the world to see. Like the Nalanda monastery, which was founded by King Shakriyaditya, Tiladhak monastery was also founded by a descendant of King Bimbisara, and it too attracted students from all the kingdoms which follow the teaching of the Buddha. Tiladhaka monastery or Telhara monastery was very prominent center of Mahayana studies. Itzing, who stayed at Nalanda between 675 to 685 AD, recommended in his travel that these were the best institutions for collecting the true teaching of Buddha during his time in the whole of the Buddhist world. No wonder Tiladhaka monastery found a place in the coveted list of the best monasteries in its time. Xuanzang, who was at Tiladhaka monastery for 2 months, spoke highly of the priest Prabhadra, who was the chief acharya of the Tiladhaka monastery. Cunningham also spoke the site and had given site plan of the present village of ancient ruins. They see occupy an area about 1 square kilometer. This monastery was in almost in 1 square kilometer, but half of the monastery has been destroyed by villages. So very few you can see during this excavation. Regarding the mound at southwest of the village, Cunningham showed here a group of 6 mounds, which highest and largest of them at the center, locally known as a Bulandi or High Mount. In 1872, Broadley had described this Bulandi Mount as an enormous of irregular shape about 50 feet high. But Cunningham in his report of 1875-78 says is only 20 feet high and 350 it is of 350 square feet at the base. Cunningham had to identify the ruins of Bulandi Mount with the remains of the building of monasteries reflected by Xuanzang. Several sculptures were founded by Broadley from Telhara, which was divided between Patna Museum and Indian Museum, Kolkata. The famous Maitreyi and 12-arm Avalokiteshvara at present is in display at Indian Museum, Kolkata. Perhaps the best Pala period sculpture from Telhara is now in Riedberg Museum, Zurich. with the view of getting more data regarding the monastery complex at Telhara Excavation were carried out a mound called Bulandi Tila. Telhara, situated in between two rivers, as earlier I have told, and is in the Peppersarai block of Nalanda districts, approximately 60 kilometers south from Patna, the capital of Bihar, and 30 kilometers northeast from Nalanda, the famous ancient university of early Gupta period. The village Telhara is inhabited by approximately 6,000 people with an area of 229 hectares. Out of the total population, 300 are the marginal laborers of are spending their livelihood based on their agricultural activities. Telhara is positioned between the two ancient and famous places, that is Patna and Gaya. The village Telhara is located 680 meters north from the river Katra, which is a tributary of river Falgu that is also flowing 2.9 kilometers west of the site. A dried up channel named Suri is also noticed beside the site. A square depression was noticed beside the site, which was covered with few mounds years ago for construction of a school there. The land in and around the site is plain in nature and soil is fertile due to the deposition of the river silt. The mound recently highlighted in 2007 during the time when our Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Nitish Kumar, visited the village for a meeting. There is one little story how excavation was started. When CM visited in 2009, the Mukhya of that village, Mr. Gupta, Udesh Gupta, when CM asked him actually what he wants for his village, the Mukhya of that village, headman of that village, he requested CM to get this Bulandi mound excavated. When this was announced, Mukhya announced or demanded for excavation, the villagers got anger. He should ask for university, ask for a college or electricity or other things, and he is demanding for excavation. So he was so annoyed that due to that, Mukhya told me that he didn't come out of his house. But when I started excavation and things come out, important things come out, it got famous. When it got famous, so people realized that what Mukhya has demanded, he has demanded the right thing. And due to this excavation, Mukhya won the next election of Mukhya. Not one time, 2 times he won the election due to this excavation. The mount, so I started scientific excavation to uncover the site to know its nature. With the interference of Chief Minister, the Director of Archaeology has taken over the site and undertook the excavation to reveal the history embedded under the earth. The excavation work on nearly 35 feet high Bulandi mound at Telhara by a team of archaeologists of the state government unearthed the evidence of 3-story structure. It was mentioned by Huan Shang as saying that there was a 3-story structure. So during excavation, I got that 3-story structure, as mentioned by Huan Shang in his travel account. Evidence of prayer home and residential cell for monks in the monastery have been found in the course of recent digging. Digging has also revealed a 34 feet long floor lined by a number of cells. The large floor is dotted with number of cells with images of Buddha installed on them. Another brick paved floor with a wall almost 12 feet in height has been discovered below this prayer hall in eastern side. Above this prayer hall, a well was found in which some broken images of Buddha have been discovered. On the northern side of the mound, two brick cells have been unearthed with the paved floor. In course of further excavation at the site, we come across with Gupta Age monastery. Nearly 60-meter long brick wall of the monastery structure has been found at the depth of 6 meters. Below this wall, another structure remains running in north-south direction has been encountered. As revealed by the excavation, this monastery was used in dimension with spacious hall dotted with number of cells, as I've already told. Evidence of 3 temples has been found, each with a single along with circumambulatory. Some important finding. During excavation, I come across over 1,000 finding 30 old books that proves seals have image so blue was a statue of and several many bronzes and terracotta both in stupa stitched in ivory that goes back to the Gupta period 320 AD to a period that is 1164. Important of them are monasteries. One monastery is still there. It is written. Its name was Sri Prathama Shiva Pura Mahavihara Bhikshu Sangha. And see, like one can see, there is Chak deer. This is the monastery. Another important finding was the unique ceiling of fasting Buddha. The way of showing him an renounced enlightenment and his status as a yoga aesthetic. Described. Another finding. This another important finding is Bhajana. I will draw. Dhwanja, this is very important because still in one of the walls and it was cleared by bird. I don't know why this Dhwaja was concealed. And this one of the important findings. Another important thing I have got that is of Gajalakshmi and images of Buddha in blue basalt, in Bhumi Buddha, Chakravartin, Dantasana, Manjusri, Varahi, seven-headed Yamantak, Vishnu, many punjas I have got there. Buddhist pantheon, etc. Recently, in the scientific clearance work, image of Sita Lakshman, and bronze bells have been recovered. Actually, when Itsing visited that site, he mentioned that this history was beautifully decorated with small bells and bronzes. I have got some small bells as mentioned in Traveler. Regarding the chronology of the site, the earliest period was NDP, then Shunga, Kushana period, Gupta period, and Pala period. The interesting thing, when I was excavating in northern side, I got 3 or 4 cells with big floor. I had experience while I was excavating at Tarhadi. Prashad, he was director of excavation. He told me that unless you reach the virgin soil, don't stop the excavation in trench. So I remembered that, and while I was digging in northern side, I made that paved floor. So I decided to cut that paved off. When I cut that paved floor, I encountered sand almost 4 meters. Then many officers there who was present at that site, he requested me to stop the excavation in this trench. But I had experience at Tarhadi. I asked them to continue it unless and until you reach the virgin soil. After digging for 4 meters, I started getting northern plaques NPP there. So I came to the conclusion that settlement was started at Mauryan period, but during the flood, the people of Mauryan period abandoned the site. After 200 years, people from Kushan period, they settled there, and they Gupta people, they settled there. Then Pala period come there. So in this way, without any cultural break, I'm getting NDP Pala period. In my view, investing one of the older than Nalanda. Money visited Dr. Archaeological Survey of India and visited Telhara. He saw the excavation. He told that better you declared one of the oldest university. For breaks, I'm getting there. That is of period. That is continuing for almost 60 meters. I had a discussion with many others scholars before declaring the site, the earliest monastery in India. Mostly, almost many scholars suggested that this is the one of the earliest site in India. So I declared the site as the earliest monastery in India. There is one important thing to observe. What I have observed that during Pala period, there was 3 universities in existence: Nalanda and Telhara. When you see in the map a triangle like this, Telhara is here, is here, Telhara is here, and Nalanda. Equidistance. Distance 33 kilometers from Telhara. Nalanda is 33 kilometers. From Telhara, Dhantapuram is almost 31, 32 kilometers. So this is the formation of triangle. This is the important thing what I have observed. Another important aspects that is of conservation. I tried my level best to get it when I was director. Actually, I moved the file, but the then principal secretary never took any interest to get this conserved. So I'm very sorry. Now the site is very dilapidated condition. Principal secretary of chief minister to get the site conserved as early as possible. I have got some more photographs that I will show you through my mobile. I will show you. Can you see this?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. We can see this. Yeah.
The general view of that site. This is the general view. Upper level is of Gupta period. Then here is upper level is of Pala period. About the well, it is here, and beneath that there is Gupta structures. The Gupta structure, and after that there was Kushan and Shunga period structures. This is the platform I have mentioned. What I have told. Used platform. This is an interesting photograph of the journalist, and he displayed this photograph in France, and he got the first prize for this photography. This is a circulatory park of the temple I have mentioned. This is a street temple that was mentioned. Saying I have got an excavation. This is the well. Excavation in progress. Some of the ceiling. This is the ceiling of this is a interesting ceiling of dynasty. This is a ceiling of Telhara University that is written Sri Prathama Shiv Pura Mahavihara Bhikshu Sangha. Chakra in center and flanked by two deer. This is the Dhwaja, what I was telling about this, that was concealed wall and it's 6 years old. This is the Dhwaja. I will show you some more. This is the dancing Ganesha in bronze. Is it clear? Bird figurine. Buddha in Bhumi Sparsh Mudra in ivory. This is bronze. Buddha in Bhumi Sparsh Mudra. Again, Buddha in the ashram. Interesting. Yeah, this is also Buddha. Okay. Strela. So it's all in bronzes. One interesting thing I have got there in Gupta period, that is a lamp that still continuing in the city during the inauguration of any function. I have got in Gupta period. Murti Stupa, Maitreyi, no, sorry, Avalokiteshwar. So Buddha, so the red sandstone, this is Yamantak. Interesting figure. All in red sandstone. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. That was such an enlightening and stimulating lecture that we heard. It is such a great site. I'd like to invite Mishra sir to say a few words.
Sir, please unmute, sir. Mr. Sir, please unmute, sir.
Yeah. Please.
Mr. Sir, please unmute, sir.
Very
Yes.
nice picture about this beautiful site, Telhara, and the excavation which he did near Bulandi Mount, and which is described by Cunningham and other scholars, the earliest mosque of that area. This is very well known that Telhara is one of the important sites in eastern India, and it has the credit like Nalanda, Vikramshila, and other places. But I was surprised to hear from Dr. Atul that government of Bihar is not taking right steps to preserve this important site, which is very important. So while discussing Anuja, we will see that it is informed to the Bihar government also that since this important site needs immediate conservation, otherwise I know there are many sites which excavators do excavation and thereafter the site is vanished due to vandalism or due to natural calamities. So we will take up this issue also with the Bihar government and we will see that we send some letter for its conservation and preservation. I thank Dr. Atul Verma for giving such a nice informative lecture with showing us the antiquities which he has discovered from the site and the less informed facts which he told us will be very much useful to all the scholars in the Eastern India. Thank you very much, Dr. Atul Verma.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, sir, with your permission, I would like to get into the part where we will be inviting scholars to present their paper. With your permission, Mishra sir, the first paper, yes, the first paper that of today evening is by Professor Durga Basu. Professor Durga Basu was former professor and head of the Department of Archaeology, Department of Calcutta University. She is presently Vice President of Kolkata Society of Asian Studies and currently visiting professor in the Department of Museology, Department of Buddhist Studies of Calcutta University. The present today, ma'am will be presenting the paper named Dynamism in Vernacular Temple Architecture of Himachal Pradesh. Ma'am, please, we would like for you to join us.
Thank you, Anuja.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Respected Vice Chancellor, sir, respected Dr. P.K. Mishra, respected Dr. Atul Varmaji, and distinguished gathering. At the very outset, I would like to thank Dr. Mishra and my student Anuja for inviting me here to present my paper. My paper entitles the Vernacular Temple Architecture of Himachal Pradesh, especially in the region Kulu and Manali, because this is my research project, and I'm working as a senior fellow of Indian Council for Social Science Research. I'm working on this particular subject. Now, first of all, when India is studied with the large temple structures, and when we think of Indian temples, what comes first to our mind is that the large stone-built temples in form of Nagara style, in form of the Dravido style. But in spite of these temples, India has produced a large number of temples in form of vernacular structure, in form of the vernacular shrines. And these temple structures have revealed certain architectural marvel. So it is a time to study or to look at that particular architectural features, because it is most of the Indian states have their own regional architectural patterns, and certain unique architectural features are noticed in that particular temples. So today I have selected a particular area, particular region, because in my research work, in my project, I have taken 4 to 5 states to study the vernacular temples, and especially the state of Kerala, West Bengal, Tripura, Assam, and Himachal Pradesh. Now, last 2019, December, I have visited that place, and I have surveyed certain places in and around the Kulu Manali region. So today I will definitely highlight that particular region, because Himachal Pradesh has been considered as one of the most significant regions, geographical horizons, where these vernacular temples developed with their own regional characteristics. Now, why these vernacular temples came up? The emergence of the vernacular temple in India is mainly due to some indigenous needs of structural buildings for day-to-day worship. And in most cases, these buildings are almost ecologically suitable and sustainable with the local materials. So the vernacular temples, especially all these temples, are mainly conditioned by the ecological situations, the environment, the local atmosphere, even the customs, behavior of the people. So it differs from region to region. What we have seen that in India, most of the states have their own regional architectural styles, and these are conditioned by their own regional physiographic features, physiographic conditions, then climate, then natural resources, then the raw materials, and at the same time, the technique, constructional technique they used for construction this religious structure. So in this respect, the Himachal Pradesh stands very significant or occupies a very significant area for this vernacular temple architecture. Now, the varied architectural features of these vernacular temple structure in different parts of India are the direct result of geographical, climate, ritualistic, indigenous, artistic activities, historical situations, and ethnic diversities. And in India, some of the finest examples of this vernacular religious structure have come from Himachal Pradesh in the foothills of Himalayas and Kerala, West Bengal, Tripura, Assam, and many other regions. So today I have selected a particular region, that is Himachal Pradesh. Himachal Pradesh, as you know, is located in the northwestern part of India. And especially it is, that particular state falls within the Himalayan areas, Himalayan regions. So physiographically, that Himalayas system can be classified into three distinct zones physiographically. That is, one is the Siwalik region, another is a lesser Himalaya and or inner Himalayas, and then the alpine zone, that is the greater Himalayas. Now, Himachal Pradesh falls within the lesser Himalaya region. And in this particular state, whatever we have surveyed almost a few districts, and I have found that mostly the vernacular temples came up generally from the Chamba, then Kinnor, and then the Kulu Manali district. So today I would like to highlight that particular region, how these temples came up and what the basic character of that particular temple style. Now, at the very beginning, I must say that is the most of the temples of vernacular temples, especially in the varied states or different states of India, these temples are conditioned by the local environment, local culture, local customs and beliefs. So when we are talking about the Himachal Pradesh, definitely all the temples, these are also conditioned by the local environment. And as you know that absolutely Himachal Pradesh is the snow, having the snow-capped mountains, river valleys, and it is a diverse topography. So even in this diverse topography, whatever we find that so far as the temples or the vernacular temples are concerned, these temples show some homogeneity. And now here, another interesting thing is that these temples has absolutely received or influenced by the local domestic houses. So we can compare these things, the temples, vernacular temples, and at the same time, we can see that the houses, domestic pattern, because these temples came up, or absolutely these temples are influenced by the architectural features of their own regional domestic houses. So if we want to study, if we want to know the vernacular temples of a particular region, then definitely we should know the domestic houses, how they create, how they construct their domestic houses, and why they have created such temples in form of their houses and their local houses. Because definitely there are certain reasons, and that reasons definitely when they're creating, when they are constructing their houses, it absolutely they keep in their mind their local environment, ecological situations. So we will study this in perspective of that local vernacular houses. So it is absolutely the Himachal Pradesh, especially the Kulu Manali district. I want to show you some slides so that you can get an idea about the entire region. And then only after that we can discuss, because it's a very small paper, and due to time constraint, I will be very brief. So I just want to show you that particular slide. 1 minute, please.
Ma'am, your mic is mute.
Do you have any problem?
No, okay, okay. I'm
Ma'am is
trying.
presenting, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible. You can make it full view.
Yes,
That's
ma'am, it is visible and you're audible also, ma'am. Thank
This one? Okay.
you. Yes, yes, it is visible.
1 minute, please. I want to say it. Okay. Now is it clear? Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it is full screen.
Now you can see that is the Kulu region and Kulu Manali region. Actually, Kulu district is sandwiched between the Pir Panjal ranges and the Lesser Himalaya region, and in between, and it stands in between the Alpine or the Greater Himalayas. So you can see here from this picture, you can see that it is the structure or whatever the structure, either in form of a domestic house or it is a temple structure. These structures are constructed in the midst of the hills. Sometimes in the dense forest, they have constructed their religious structure, and at the same time, the house or the local village houses are found in the midst of this mountain. So it is absolutely the mountainous region. And the next slide. Yes. Now the geophysically, we can see the Manali as it is the high mountain ranges, because it is absolutely the ranges, then the lofty hills, and at the same time that we have the river valleys. So diverse topography we have seen in that particular region, and whatever the temples structure came up, it is through this Bias Valley region we find. But in spite of that, even on the lofty hills, that we find the structure, the temple structure of vernacular temple structure. Now, this is absolutely in the midst of the dense forest. You can see that is the modern temple, no doubt of it, but it is absolutely the inaccessible area. Even they have constructed this type of temples. And now what we have seen that there are several categories of temples in that region. And these categories, in fact, there are two major categories. That means one is temples is simply in form of paint roof, that is gable roof, the structure with single story structure with a gable roof. And another is a multi-story or the multi-tiered temples. And you can see here that is a multi-tiered temple, but in a very simple way, because the villagers are constructing this structure in a very simple way, because they are using that the local materials like wood and stone. Now we have seen that the different construction techniques, and especially the techniques of cartooning, mud, and the dry stone structure. And since there are the wooden temples are special in this particular region, and at the same time we find that the stone structure. So there are three major types. One is pen structure, sometimes single-storied, sometimes multi-storied structured with gable roof. Another is simply that stone temple in form of a Nagara style, and another is a pyramidal, that is multi-tiered pyramidal. So there are three major temple style, whatever we have noticed in that particular region. Now the techniques. Today, I would like to share my views, or I would like to share this particular technique of Katkuni. Now, Katkuni technique is a very traditional technique, and that particular knowledge of construction, it is handed over from generations after generations, and it has become a building craft. So the Katkuni technique or the Katkuni method of construction, they applied for yes, I'll just the Katkuni with 1 minute, please. Let's start the video. Okay, so the Katkuni technique is can be applied to their houses, domestic houses, and at the same time that they have applied to the structure. Because I have already told you that the temple structures are absolutely conditioned, the environment in one hand, and absolutely these are influenced by the domestic structure of that particular domestic houses of that particular region. If you visit West Bengal, different parts of West Bengal, you will find that is absolutely the hut style temples. Why? Because yes, these hut type temples are influenced by the domestic houses of the West Bengal. And similar thing has also happened even in the Kerala, even in Tripura. So if you visit the Kerala, then you will also find that the same type of, that is a house building and the village houses, and you can compare with that temple structure. So here, what is important to note that they use that particular technique, and this technique is absolutely useful for that particular region. Now, I want to show you why this is useful for this region. Next slide. It is not. Oh, sorry, it is not working. The next slide, I just. Okay. Now we can see this. I just want to go off my video so that you can see the full picture. Okay, now we can see this is the house, local house, and how they built it. Now the village people, generally, it is a craft, building craft, and the people have the knowledge of forbidding their landscape, their harsh climate condition, their local materials, local natural resources. And in fact, the building practice is deeply rooted to the environment and cultural practices and also the traditions. Now you can see here that how that they created that particular house. The lower portion, you can find this, it is absolutely the katkuni. Katkuni means that wood, and this wood is applied at the corner. This is the corner. Kuni means corner. So they used this type of wood and the stones just to create their houses. And even at the lower part, in most cases, in the Kulu, Manali, Himachal regions, in most cases, what we find that it is absolutely for the livestock. And the upper portion, the people live in this particular portion, and they extended the space with the help of the cantilever, and it is absolutely wooden made. And the roof is generally made or built with the slate. Because why they uses this, you can see this is the Katkuni structure of the domestic houses. So again, you can see that is in between these two wooden lock, you will find the stones, and even at the corner, you can find the stones. So they are creating in such a way just to keep parity with the environmental problems, or to give the protection to the structure. Why? Because this in between these two layers, in between these two, the layers, stone layers, they employed the wooden logs so that it absolutely, this type of Katkuni method demonstrates the profound understanding of the building science that responds to the frequent seismic seismic tremor. That means the entire Himachal region falls within that seismic zone. So whatever, they know their climate, they know their environment, people, and so they selected the wood, and that wood is also, they always use that the Deodar wood. And because this Deodar wood is rich in that particular region, and not only that, this wood has its own property, that is thermal property. As you know that in winter, they always face the harsh climate, and in winter it is absolutely covered with the snow. So they use this. And another thing is, you can see here that is absolutely without plaster. So why they didn't plaster? They never use this plaster on the outer wall, because they want to so that the heat can penetrate inside the wall during this winter, and during, because it is absolutely in the winter, it is absolutely filled with cold snow. Now, so this is a local construction, And when we find the temples absolutely receive the same type of technique. They use that the wood and stone they used. Next. It's not moving. Why it is not moving? That structure. 1 minute, please. Okay. It's not moving. The next slide. Yeah.
No,
you can see.
yeah. It is visible.
Just give me a 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, Aninja?
Yes,
Is it all right?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely all right.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
you can see how they created that particular walls, the domestic, because we actually we want to understand the constructional technique of the temples. So here you can see that unless and until we understand the domestic houses, construction of the domestic houses, we cannot understand how they created or they built that particular structure, temple structure. Now you can see here that the 2 wooden logs are placed longitudinally parallel to this, and now it is filled with the stones, that is slates. And it is now, first of all, it is economically suitable for the region. Why? Because it can be reused, the stone can be reused. And now again, you can see that it is the air, any wastage of material, first of all. And another is that you can absolutely, the infill traps air within walls, creating an insulation zone. That means the air can penetrate in that particular region. And now how they join that, this is also very interesting, because it is absolutely the indigenous method of construction. They somehow they connect or join this, but with this help of the dovetail, that is, it is also wooden, and they tried it in such a way they can connect these 2 temples, and it is known as the 2 skin walls. And in local term, it is known as Manvi. And now the next slide, you can see that how they built that particular structure. So it is absolutely at the corner, and at the same time, in between the stone walls, they employ the particular wooden logs. So wooden logs help to protect the structure from the seismic disturbance, from seismic tremor. So it is also very climate responsive structure. And even the slate, the roof is covered with the slate stones. So everywhere you will find, even the temple structure, even their house building, you will find this, that is the slate stones, and it is a gable roof. And it is always sloping so that the snow cannot harm the structure. And it is also, the slate has also its own thermal property. So it is very interesting to find that how the people knew this, because generations after generations, they are creating this particular, this traditional way, they are creating their houses. So when we reach to the temple structure, then we also find that is absolutely, they tried to construct their temples in form of their house material, house pattern, in form of that same construction technique they employed. Now, I want to show you some of the temples so that you can get an idea what type of, this is absolutely the multi-tiered temple in form of a pyramid. This is absolutely wooden meant, the Hidimba Devi temple. And Hidimba Devi, actually, the people worships the local gods, because another cause is for coming up this particular regional temples is the need or urge for worshipping their local gods and goddesses. Now, it is very interesting that in any parts of India, I do not know whether any Hidimba Devi temple is there or not, but here Hidimba Devi is very powerful deity, and sometimes they believe that she is the goddess, because this demoness goddess is worshipped by the people, and it is a 3-tiered temple, absolutely wooden temples, and the top finial is metal finials are there and covered with, and it is again, if you see, that is a wooden structures are that beautifully carved. Now you can see that the wooden portions of this temple and the frontal part, that is, in most of the temples, frontal parts are decorated with the beautiful designs, sometimes floral designs, sometimes with images of deity. It is the wooden carving. This is also an important feature of this temple structure, or at least the characteristics of the hilly region, that is the wooden structure or the exquisite carving. Now again, I want to show you that from the single story to double or triple or the multi-storied, that is the gable roofed. It is also Vashishta Temple, even in the Manali. And you can see how beautifully they created that the roofs, and at the top you will find a huge wooden log in a gable form, and the gable roofed, and it's beautifully, the front is beautifully curved with the wooden carvings are there. Now, this is another example of the Sandhya Gayatri Temple, another example of gable roofed. It is a single, roof. It's a rectangular temple, and having the production or the circumambulatory path around this temple. And now you can see how the Katkuni methods have been applied in that particular region in the roof. And this is all the slates placed one after another and over the wooden framing. So this is another structure. Now you can see now here you can see that is that temple stands over the high plinth. So they create it in such a way that first they dug out the trench, and it is filled with the stones, steep stones. Then up to the stones, mainly rise up to the plinth, and then they constructed the wooden temples. And sometimes the wall is also built with the block of stone. And you can see here, because just to protect the structure, they created the plinth, protect from the snow and even from the flood or the rain. So they most of the temples, this is also, you can see that how their own houses they have built with the stones and with the Katkuni method, that is using of the stone, wooden logs. Now it is a wonderful and one of the beautiful structures, the Vernacular temples, that is Chupadashanduri Temple, and it's a patron deity of that particular region. And Chupadashanduri, you can see that is a tiered temple. It's a multi-tiered temple. Even at the top, you can find it's absolutely in a very systematic way they created that structures with the wooden logs, and the assembly or the mandapa is a 3-side open mandapa along with this gable roof, and that is covered with the slate. So again, you can see the beautiful wooden carvings are there. It's a small shrine along with this main shrine, and it is the tire temple, and this is the Chupadashanduri Temple. And when we reach to this, even we can see the influence of the domestic houses. This is the plan. Now you can see that is the through the entrance you can reach to this beautifully carved and beautifully wooden carvings are there. Now we can see the roof. Now they placed in such a way that is the wooden framing is there, and over which they place the stone, that slate stones, so that it can help to resist, to absolutely to protect the structure. So from the very beginning, it is absolutely the structure, either it in form of the domestic house or either in form of the temples, it is a climate responsive structure. So with these, I would like to say that it is not right time to share, absolutely to highlight our temples in form of the vernacular form, because here we find that the people, by knowing their own limitations, by knowing their own natural resources, their ecological situations, and even their climatic conditions, they created that such a temples or the structures which are absolutely from right from the beginning to the end, these are climate responsive structure. So this is also very important, and for any region of where we find the vernacular temples, that these temples are absolutely climate responsive. And not only that, this structure is deep rooted to the environment, to the cultural practices, and to the traditions. So it is absolutely important to highlight our regional style, and just to study the regional style so that we can get an idea that the unique architectural features of the vernacular temples of India. Thank you. Giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It is always such a pleasure to hear you. And ma'am, I'd like to ask Mishra sir to say a few words.
Yes, sure.
Sir, you have to unmute. Yeah, unmute.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Is
sir.
it okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Professor Basu, for enlightening us with such nice information about Himachal Pradesh temple architecture and giving us the details that how the local influence is there, the climatic influence is there in the temple architecture, and giving us a very right information which we find here in Bengal and in Tripura temples also, like geodiverse topography of the temples show originality. Temples are influenced by architectural features of the regional local environment, like you showed very rightly about Hidimba Devi Temple in Manali. I think every one of us know who was Hidimba Devi. She was the wife of Bhim of Mahabharata. And Hidimba Devi Temple is one of the very important temple of Himachal Pradesh, which it is said that Hidimba Devi was in that cave and she was doing a big penance in that temple. So this was a cave temple which was later on converted into three-tier temple.
Right, right.
And
A huge stone is there.
yeah,
Inside the temple, a huge stone is there, and they worship these stones. Yes.
Yeah. Because I have been the superintending archaeologist of that region and I have moved in every temple, and a lot of development works we have done in Hidimba Devi Temple. What is very interesting, which you have touched here, you know, the temple styles in Himachal Pradesh is quite different. Why? Because of climatic conditions.
Yeah,
Most
absolutely.
of the temples where you can find the foundation is of wood, and the foundation is of wood which has got no locking system. It is just on weight. Weight of the whole temple is coming on the corners, like we say cantilever system, because there is one very important temple in Himachal Pradesh that is of 5th century, earliest wooden temple, that is Chhatrari. I don't know whether you missed that Chhatrari. It is on the top of the hill.
Actually, I didn't visit. I didn't visit that visit due to the top of this.
It is a bit complicated to reach there, but it is a monument of Archaeological Survey of India. And I took the conservation of that monument. It was a very challenging conservation work. We have to remove all upper layers. When we were removing the layers, then we could find that so many architectural control they have given at that time during 4th, 5th century. Suppose they have put the wood on the top of the wood, they have put so beautiful layers of soil so that temple is always cool. They have put, then above the coil, they have put some this kind of plates that is of mica or something in 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layers, so that no water percolation goes inside the temple. There is no seepage in the temple. So all these factors they have kept in mind. And like you go to Bhajana Temple in Himachal Pradesh, you will see Bhajanath is little advanced. It is of 11th and 12th century, whereas this Hidimba is of 7th, 8th century. Hidimba's construction and Bhajanath's construction has got vast difference. Their stone architecture has come up, whereas in Bhajanath, stone has not taken that lead, which we find in Bhajanath Temple or at Kangra Temple. They are very different.
No, what I find, actually, what I find that it is the uniqueness of their construction is that interlocking system. That we have noticed, that is a beautiful interlocking system. Without any mortar, they have created that particular structure. So it is unique of this region.
That is unique. The dynamism in vernacular architecture is another very unique thing over there, which we could find. Tired and multi-tired temple without giving much load on the temple. So they
Yes.
have created that also. That techniques are very interesting. And the three techniques which you have defined is another very interesting, which if we compare with the Bengal temples, in some of the early temples, we would find this kind of technique also. Like, it depends on the regional effects,
Yes.
like mud construction.
And
Mud
not
construction, I
yeah.
have seen in Mithila region, when you go to the temples in Bihar, North Bihar, you would find many temples with mud construction,
Yes.
because mud has got certain other factors, characteristics,
Hmm.
which had a sort of strongevity with the temple, like dry stone construction. That is another very interesting technique which you have explained us. This kind of construction even we are finding in eastern India also. Maybe Bengal, Tripura, in other places, we have got this kind of temples.
Now, another thing is that I have seen in Kashmir, if you visit some old places, old buildings in the Western Himalayan region, we find that is the use of both these materials, locally, local material, that is wood and the stones. So here that the technique the same, but they place such a wood in such a way, it is different from this Himachal Pradesh. Now, Kashmir, what I have seen, that is absolutely that on the stories that the stories, 2 stories, 3 stories building, on the upper stories of the first stories, upper part, they place the wooden logs as in horizontal way. So it looks like simply the horizontal ladder, and over which they put that weight, that is the stones. So they hold that stones wall. Then again in the middle section, they put again that wooden layer. So the technique remains. But
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but like we are in a time crunch,
okay,
so
okay.
like we can later on we can actually arrange a whole seminar.
I'll wind up.
Yes,
So thank
yes,
you, Professor Basu, for giving
yes,
so nice informations about
yes,
this. I think all scholars would get some informations how the temples like Sandhya Gayatri Temple, as she has told us, that it is an incredible workmanship on the wooden architecture. We are getting that.
yes.
Tripura Temple, she has spoken very well about the Sundari Temple of 1501 AD, is called the Ek Ratna style, Bengali style. That also she has explained. So I thank you very much for a very, very informative and very highly researched lecture. Thank you very much, Professor Basu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next speaker, I would like to invite Dr. R. Sai Kumar. He is Associate Professor at KL University, Vadeshwaram. The name of Sir's paper is a study of Buddhist sites, Dantapuram and Kailihundam in Srikakulam district of Kalinga region. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
R.
Yes,
Sai Kumar, sir. You can please unmute and yourself. R. Sai Kumar, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
madam.
Yes.
Yes.
Sir,
Let me
please,
go with the
yeah.
presentation.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, we can see you and you're audible, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Am I audible, madam? Okay?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes.
madam. And due to the meeting at again 5 p.m., madam, that's why I'm a little bit hurried. I troubled you. I may be kindly be excused.
No, sir.
No, madam.
No, sir. Please, please continue.
Yeah, madam. The title of the paper is A Study of Buddhist Sites of Dantapuram and Salehundam in Srikakulam district of Kalinga region of Andhra area. The monuments of Buddha have been found to be having profound influence not only by his followers but and all those who adore him and his principles, which are found in text besides in the legacy, place of sculpture and painting. Every site is associated with him, is immortalized and turned into a center of pilgrimage. His followers made all that, particularly Gautam Buddha's followers. The earliest Buddhist monuments cropped up not only in India, but also mainly in other countries like Ceylon, China, Tibet. Japan, etc. On his deathbed, Gautama Buddha himself suggested that the stupas may be erected over his mortal remains. Such places are associated with Buddha gained importance as center of Buddhism. It is not out of place to mention here the Fahian and the Huan Song were overwhelmed with joy by seeing the richness of Buddhist remains of the sites of both Salihundam and Dantapuram and Salihundam, some of which are intact great extent even now when we visit that two Salihundam and Dantapuram. And the Buddhist, particularly, sites famous in India, South India, especially the archaeologists particularly have identified about 140 Buddhist sites of Andhra Pradesh. Among them, writers felt Dantapuram and Salihundam are the early Buddhist sites in Andhra Pradesh, which have need to be studied in this context. These two places of Buddhist sites are archaeological importance in Andhra Pradesh of Srikakulam district. Worthwhile to write a paper. Then I submit this before you. And of course, in the annexure, all that I mentioned, due to the lack of time, I'm unable to present the PPT, and I may be kindly be excused. Now I come across the Dantapuram, a study of Buddhist site of Andhra Pradesh. Archaeologists so far identified more than 140 Buddhist sites of Andhra Pradesh, ranging to date of pre-Ashokan period, 4th to 3rd century BC, to Vishnu Kundin's time, particularly who ruled the Andhra, particularly 4th and 5th centuries, stretching from Dantapuram in north to Nandaluru in south from Kalinga is the west to Bhattiprolu in the east. Interestingly, some sites had continued up to 14th century, Buddhist centers, even up to 14th century. They were very popular. Most of these sites included the present north coastal region in the district of Visakhapatnam, Vijayanagaram, Srikakulam, and East Godavari formed a part of ancient Kalinga region. Here I would like to mention, this is known also as Kalinga region. And according to Buddhist Jataka literature, region between the rivers, particularly Suvarnamukhi, presently Suvarnamukhi near Amudalavasa of Srikakulam district, presently in Andhra Pradesh. On the north, Godavari, on the south formed territory called particularly what you call it, Madhyama Kalinga. About the location of Dantapuram, let me put before you. Dantapuram, a small village in Saribujjuri Mandal of Srikakulam district in the early Buddhist settlements in Andhra. The village is 16 kilometers away from Amudalavasa, Srikakulam road, 16 km away from the road of Srikakulam. The district of headquarters, particularly what you call it, Dantapuram. Almost now, of course, due to the COVID and Corona and other effects, but every year there will be a congregation of Buddhist saints at that place, madam. For your kind submission, every year there will be a congregation almost. The Buddhists come from different parts to visit the places of Salihundam and Dantapuram. Like that, they also visit Bhajana Kunda, very nearer to Visakhapatnam, very nearer to it. And like that, they have a congregation and meeting also. Only after that is what we find Dantapuram epigraphical references, whatever I am telling. The inscriptions found here issued by Eastern Ganga kings. The one was issued by Anantavarma, Chodaganga, 1034 records that Dantapuram was a capital of Eastern Ganga of Kalinga, while another inscription, 1000 105 to 1113 respectively. Dantapuram has the capital of Kalinga, particularly at that time, as per the Indian Antiquity, particularly volume number 17, 170 of written by R. Subbarao, which I got it from National Museum, particularly from Delhi, the original scripts I referred. Again, coming to that, why was it called Dantapuram or Dhantapuram? The territory extended up to the tower of Dantagunda or Dantagula, identified with Dantapura by an eminent Indologist, Cunningham, to which the tooth relic was brought immediately after the Buddha's nirvana. Most pious thing. The relic was enshrined a stupa by then ruling sovereign Brahmadatta. At that time, we may find Dalandavamsa, composed in 310, speaks the history of Dantava, particularly Damstra, the relic, particularly what I am saying, which is mentioned in Dalandavamsha, you may find Dalandavamsha, and token of to Dantapura and Kalinga regions in the heaven, particularly. You may find another thing in Gandhara, one of the Kalinga land, Nagas. Dantapura may be identified as Dantavakruni Kota. This is another name of this is Dantavakruni Kota, you may find, and which is situated near Amudala Valsa. The Dhanikya, or refers to Dantapura or Kalinga Desa, what you find as. And according to Mahapariban Sutta, this is one of the important thing about particularly Digganikaya. Digganikaya sources also give the confirmation about it. Another important thing that what we find about this is the sutta, the same sutta which is mentioned, that is also, and Brahmadatta, the then King Kalinga, was a particularly Kematreta, according to the things that what we find. And we may find the sutta, particularly the mentioned by King, the stupa, the truth relic of Buddha at the place, which latter known as Dantapura. The same fact was also mentioned by another Ceylonese chronicle, Dalandavamsa, which is also known in another important aspect. And coming to, because of the lack of time, let me put before you finally the Buddhist account narrated Buddhist texts, particularly Daladavamsa, particularly my sixth reference in my reference end, that what you find 310 narrates the study of Danta Dhatu of Lord Buddha was enshrined a stupa in Dantapura. This is about description, what we have seen about the Dantapura and its importance particularly. Another important thing coming to the Salihundam is also equally important, particularly to note here with them. This is a very important factor to study about the archaeological information. Before we go, let me come to an end. Yes, it is in a way to conclude this study. Recent archaeological data proves Dantapuram, capital city of Kalinga, identified as Dantavakruni Kota, situated in Amadala Valsa, Srikakulam, particularly you may find is an urban area. Janapada, Dantavakruni Kota, is one of the, as per the sources. Salihundam, a Buddhist site of Andhra Pradesh. The village Salihundam belongs to 18 degrees and 20 inches of north longitude, 84 degrees 3 inches, which is located on the banks of Vamsadhara, 20 kilometers from Srikakulam district headquarters, and particularly from Kalingapatnam, you may find Kalingapatnam, particularly, you may find about it, particularly. And we may find about the fact that this is a very important aspect connected to the presentation, particularly. Let me put before you another important point of this, what you call it, Salihundam. Now I am bringing before you the Salihundam and its presentation particularly. You may find Vamsadhara near that. I told you the location. There are two rocky small located south of village and 120 meters connected particularly. And together, right, western hill particularly, temple of Vishnu, eastern hills contain remains on its summit. Okay. Then we come across another important thing. This site was first discovered and reported to archaeology late Rao Sahib G.V. Ramanamurthy Pantulu, who has done. In 1919, the site was excavated as per the information that what we find, A.H. Longrest was the first excavated about it. And two smaller stupas are found near particularly. And apsidal Chaitya or the Buddha image could be found here also. Another important thing, T.N. Ramachandran, 1943-44, exposed in apsidal, particularly Chaitya particularly what was brought out by the archaeologist R. Subramaniam, excavated in 1954. The Buddhist establishment thus exposed include stupas, chaitya gruhas, viharas, and stupas and pillared mandapa. The Roman icons, clay, particularly in Salihundam, show the site only meeting place of northern and southern cultural waves, the tradition but also vigorous contacts. Place so near to ancient Kalingapattanam, the hill at Salihundam served a land for navigational coast also. The word Salihundam differently interpreted in Sanskrit. Sali means rice, and in Oriya, what you call it, Hundam, mess. Okay. Two inscribed conches discovered in the monastic excavation, particularly Sali Pedaka, what you call it, Sali Pataka, what you know that? Sali means rice. Oh, Pataka means Vatika. What is that? Means granary, where it is stored. Okay, where rice is stored, granary as a mark. The other views that corrupt, particularly you may find, particularly Petika, box, bones, Celia, where it is, particularly the bone is very much preserved. The relic casket of Salihundam could be a piece of bone is also found in that place. This is all for my presentation at Salihundam, and particularly what you find out of the lack of time. I am concluding, sir. This is all the particularly what you find about the presentation to be done in this the Salihundam, particularly when you find two small stupas located in 7.5 meters Mahastupa, particularly the stupa relic, particularly we may find how much is the measurement, 36 meters into 31 meters into 13 centimeters, 36 into 31 and 13 centimeters, which is there as that. And stupa 4, particularly spoked stupa, is particularly situated in northeastern Mahastupa, particularly 8.85 meters. So with all the explanation, I conclude with my this paper. I'm sure that this paper will welcome by scholars to know about the evolution of the Buddhism in Andhra, particularly with a variegated concept and beliefs, such as will win peons and popular acclaims. Thank you, one and all. I hope that my presentation is completed, sir, and thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. It was such a very, very, very enlightening presentation.
Yes,
We got to know about the Buddhist sites,
yeah.
and Sir Fanikant Mishra, sir, yeah, and our chairperson Atul Verma, sir. I would like to get your views on it.
Okay.
Professor Sai Kumar, sir, you are so kind
Yes,
and
sir.
you have given such a scholarly lecture.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I am really very happy and I congratulate you for giving us such a nice brief about
Yes.
Buddhism, Buddhist sites like especially the Dantapuram,
Yes, sir.
where it is said that Buddha's teeth at Dantapuram, it was the capital of Kalingas, as we
Yes, sir.
know from
Yes,
the
sir.
text.
Exactly.
And Ashoka, even it is said also that Ashoka fought
So
the
Ashoka
Kalinga
also
War
visited. Yes, sir.
here in 261 BC. So the nearby areas also you have explained us
Yes,
so
sir.
well about so many Buddhist sites.
Yes,
Even that area is very well known for in Mahabharat
yes, sir.
text also. In
Yes, sir.
Mahabharat text also these
Yes, sir.
Dantapuram and other these places are very
Yes, sir.
well mentioned.
Yes, sir.
As we know, the Kalinga king attended the Swayamvar of Draupadi along
sir.
with Chandrasen here.
Exactly, sir. Exactly.
I think I am just adding
Yes, sir.
what you have said, and it was very interesting to hear you, and you have explained very
Yes,
well
sir.
about the Buddhism. And as far as I can say, that this was the place where different type of Buddhism, that is Mahayana,
Yes.
Theravada, and Vajrayana Buddhism spread,
Yes. Yes, sir.
and that spread towards the other countries also.
Yes,
Like we say, we get references from Sali Hundayan,
Yes.
which is the main excavated site of the 2nd century, 3rd century
Yes, sir.
BC.
Yes, sir.
So thank you, Professor Sairam, for your
Yes, sir.
very, very scholarly lecture. And
Thank you,
we
sir.
are quite informed and
Yes, sir.
we congratulate you.
Thank you very much, sir. Once again, I have been about 30 years of my nearly 28 years of my teaching experience as head of the department and now as associate professor of the department. I'm thankful to you, sir, particularly, and Anuja Bose for her initiative and the vice chancellor of the university for giving me this opportunity. I'm very much indebted to. I take leave, sir. Thank you. Thank you, one and all. Thank you, sir. Due to my time and meeting, I am unable to stay on. I may be kindly be excused. Madam, once again, thankful to you, sir, the president and the madam. We also request you, madam, once again to involve our university with your university, the collaboration. Soon I will contact you, sir. Thank you. A very nice organization. Thank you so
You
much.
are welcome. You are welcome.
Yes,
We
sir.
can have some joint project with
Yes, sir.
MAKAUT and your
Yes, sir.
university.
Yes,
So Anuja will be in your touch and we will
Yes,
have some more discussions on it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I take leave, sir, with a kind permission. Thank you, sir. Indebted to you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Very kind of you, ma'am.
Thank you. So, sir, we will be moving on to the next presentation. The next presentation is by Mr. Abhishek Roy, the PhD research scholar from Maharaja Siaji Rao University, Baroda, and I am also co-author in this paper. Sir, our paper is on arbory and horticulture of Harappan region. Due to some preoccupation, first author has been unable to join, so I will be sharing the PPT and the paper. Just a minute, sir. Is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So, archaeology is a multidisciplinary subject. Archaeobotany is one of the most important branch of archaeology. It is a composite discipline combining botanical knowledge with archaeological remains. The archaeobotanists generally analyze and interpret the plant remains which are retrieved from the archaeological sites during excavation or post-excavation times. According to Vishnu Mitter, one of the domains of archaeobotany is a close relationship between plant sciences and archaeology. So, the vast majority of plant remains that reaches to the archaeologist are in the form of microbotanical remains. Now, we These microbotanical remains are retrieved through a series of processes. The charred grains that we get, we retrieve or collect it through flotation technique. The waterlogged remains we generally get from wet sieving, and desiccated remains by dry sieving, and mineralized remains by either wet or dry sieving according to the context. The flotation technique was first introduced by Stuart Trevor in 1968. The procedures and equipment necessary for this procedure is very simple. And flotation technique can be done using both water and chemical flotation procedures. The basic principle involved in this technique is the different substances like stones, burnt clay, bones, and plant remains have different properties and different densities. Therefore, they settle in water in different degrees. And using this principle, bones and carbonized plant remains can be separated from the soil. Now, I will like to show the slide which has step-by-step procedure of flotation technique, although this is a quintessentially a practical practice. So, if anyone has been in excavation where they have retrieved this procedure, they can actually very well understand that it starts with the soil sample collecting. Then we keep this soil in a water, and then from there it is sieved and microbotanical remains are collected, which is a very simple version, but this is the gist. And now we can see that after this procedure, the collected samples are further processed. Now, the plant remains recovered after these dry or wet sieving or flotation technique, or using any other material, can be charred grain or any sort of thing that is examined or seen under high power microscope to identify mainly the genus name of the seed, and later they are cleaned for photography, and with help of acetic acid solution, which is obviously diluted, we can retrieve a technical database. And in generally, these are the things, archaeobotanical remains we can find from any site, which includes plant impression, pollen or spores, phytoliths, isotopic study, corpulite, wood charcoals, charred grains, seeds, and fruits. Now, archaeobotany in India is a very fast and young field, fast growing and young field. And against the earlier sketchy picture, the amount of data set has grown exponentially. Now, the archaeological plant remains were first studied in India by Professor Sahani, and also he has reported some food grains from early historic site of Khorkakot, Rohtak district, Haryana. And then in later times, several archaeobotanists such as Vishnu Mittal, Kajale, A. Sharma, Saraswat, and more recently Anil Pokharia, Dorian Q. Fuller have generated a mass data on the ancient plant economy. Now I'm coming to a more specialized version that is I have done on our paper. It is in Indian subcontinent at present moment, a major interest has been on the field or on the finds from the Harappan civilization. In the present presentation, we have tried to synthesize and systematically study all the plant remain information from Harappan sites, concentrating on the arbory and horticultural remains. But before I do that, I'd like to give a short introduction to Sindhu Saraswati civilization. Now, the Harappan culture or the Sindhu Saraswati civilization represent the earliest large-scale urbanization in the Indian subcontinent, dated roughly from 3000 to 1500 BCE. And the geographical expansion we can see from Pakistan to this UP, and from Kashmir to in this side Maharashtra. It is vast. It is so vast. And now, if we look into the cultural periods, Harappan civilization is generally categorized in three periods, which includes early Harappa, mature Harappan, and late Harappan. Now, early Harappan time is roughly dated to 3000 to 2600 BC, and the main characteristic was incipient urbanization. Agriculture was based on winter cropping. Now, for mature Harappan times, which is roughly dated to 2600 to 2000 BCE, and the Harappan civilization is marked by high level of technological achievement in town planning and architecture, ceramic, metallurgy, bead style, terracotta, seal, and also uniform weight standards, and etc. Now, during this time, we see highly advanced agricultural system with double cropping, meaning winter and summer crops were cultivated. Now, if we see into late Harappan time, we see deurbanization process, and after reaching a fully urbanized state, the Harappan culture gradually witnessed a disintegration of cities and more in favor of a rural economy, maybe. And mainly the point here is the agricultural system based on a double cropping, and in core region various on drought resistance crops were mainly cultivated in the peripheral region. Now, before I go deep into my presentation, I'd like to give a small idea about what is arboriculture and what is horticulture. Now, horticulture is a branch of agriculture that deals with certain features involving utilization of fruit, vegetables, flowers, and other plants. So, it involves plant cultivation for food, utility, beauty, and recreation. Now, arboriculture is a cultivation of individual trees, shrubs, vine, and other perennial woody trees. The practice of arboriculture includes cultural techniques such as selection, planting, training, fertilization, pest and pathogen control, pruning, shaping, removal. Thus, it requires everyday looking after of the plants. Now, why should we look into historical arboriculture and horticulture? Because these fruit trees or shrubs or vegetables are a category of food plant that almost certainly had a separate history from the cereals. Although in last decade there are numerous studies involving the subsistence and cropping pattern of Harappan civilization, yet there aren't many paper. Like there are a few which excavation report where there has been mention of this kind of plants, but they are solely focusing on the gardening aspect of Harappans are very less papers. Now, botanical evidences discovered from the urban civilization of South Asia does ascribe to a highly functioning arboriculture practice. Now, here you can see a table of the arboricultural remains. Now, I will try to describe a few sites from which we are getting information. Mm. We can see this is Rohira situated in Punjab. From here we get the evidences of date stone, grape, and also evidences of fenugreek. Now if we go into the site of Mohrana, which is also a site in the Punjab, we see evidences of grapes and hyacinth beans. Also, there is evidence from Sanghol, where we see fruit remains include grape, amla, bear, lemon. These evidences provide the parallels with the typical Harappan economy. Now, after this, there's a very important information that we have got from Banawali, from district Hisar. We are getting evidences of fenugreek and date stone, which is very at par with the evidences we got before. But what here is very unique is we are getting carbonized sample here, which includes components of a herbal shampoo, including Rita, Shikakai, and Amla. Now, this herbal shampoo is still used in present day, this kind of shampoos, and it signifies that how hygiene was a special part of Harappan life. Now, if we go into the next slide, Kunal. Kunal is another site in Hisar district. In addition to these field crops, seeds, there also were jujube, date, amla, muskmelon, and grape, indicating the importance of fruit in the subsistence economy. Balu, another site in Haryana, where we have found evidence of date and grape seeds. And also, the most important find from the mature Harappan period of Balu is a clove of garlic. It was also the sole record of this Central Asian species in the archaeological context in anywhere in South and Southeast Asia. Now, if we look into hulas, we also see there are evidences of walnut, almonds, castor, and people. Now, there is also an evidence of banana leaf from one of the pottery from here. Also in Fermana, we get evidences of brinjal, garlic, ginger, turmeric, mango, which is very important. And also in Rojdi, we get jujube and cucumber. Also in Kalibangan, we are getting banana leaves and palm leaves on the pottery. And in Binjore, we are getting evidences of walnut and also evidences of grape. Now, in conclusion, what can we really understand from this archaeobotanical information? Now, the evidences suggest that Sindhu Saraswati people had a vast knowledge of advanced horticulture practices. This demonstrates the sense of hygiene and also the seeds that we have found, like grapevine, pomegranate, garlic, hyacinth bean, shows that they had an unequivocal evidence of horticulture. Especially hyacinth bean from Mohorana is an infallible record of green vegetable cultivation. It Its cultivation indicates that an assured irrigation and high intrinsic soil fertility would have been maintained for growing this vegetable crop. These evidences suggest that the knowledge of horticulture was highly advanced in the Harappan community of Punjab. Charcoal evidences of henna and parijat also provide information on the gardening activity of the Harappan. And till recent past, there has been no report on the horticulture gardening. And we can see also there are information from the muskmelon nut state. We can understand about the domestication process. And obviously, the evidence of shampoo also is very important, as it shows the how kind of hygienic Indian prehistoric Indians were. Now, I'd like to end with the note that plant economy of this civilization is still inadequately studied and it does need future work. So, thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Anuja Bose has given a very new thing to us, new information to us, because in my past 36 years of archaeological expeditions, being the director of many of the excavations in country, I have missed this kind of things, you know. I find that this horticulture part, usually archaeologists have not taken up so well. And now it is now in the place where we are studying the horticultural part and we are getting so many new informations which Anuja has given us. about the past human-plant interactions through the recovery and analysis of ancient plant remains and many vegetables, many fruits, etc. And recently, I was the director of Hungary Excavation. There also we found so many plants, designs on the pottery and all. So it was very much prevalent. So thank you very much, Anuja, giving us a very new information, highly latest informations about these horticultural activities, arboricultural activities of Harappan times. I thank you again and again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to
I have to
go
say,
on. Yes,
very nice
yes.
paper. Congratulations for this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
New information which I was not knowing. For example, you have told that globe and haldi and that, some masalas you have got there.
Yes, sir. Fenugreek. Yes, sir. Fenugreek is also there. Poppy is also there.
Information for me. So very nice paper. Congratulate you again.
Thank you, sir.
I will invite you to Telhara also because I have got many horticultural evidence there. As per, I have got some charred rice in kilos.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Black paper and some masalas also there. So
Okay. Thank you, sir. Definitely, we will like to work on that.
thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Sir, are you? Yes, sir. Are you? Yeah, you were not audible for a little bit. Yeah. Uh,
Anuja ma'am, your voice is not
yes,
audible.
yes. Yeah, actually, there was some connectivity problem, I think. Now I am, yes, now I am audible, I hope. Now I would like to invite, with permission of Mishra sir, our next speaker, Ms. Shurmila Gupta. Ma'am is Secretary, Council of UG Studies and Officer in charge of Shidukanu Birsa University Museum. And the name of her paper is Purulia, the Treasure Land of Heritage. Ma'am, I would like to invite you, ma'am. Please unmute. Yeah.
Yes, good evening, everybody. And my respectful pranam and high regards to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Director, sir, Dr. P.K. Mishra, sir, Durga Basu, madam, Dr. Atul Verma, sir, and of course to you and distinguished participants who were presented the papers in this seminar. My paper is Purulia, the Treasure Land of Heritage.
Sure.
Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. And am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, audible and visible.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Purulia, the treasure land of heritage. Historical records suggest that Purulia was the Janapadas, the 16 Janapadas as depicted in Jaina Bhagavati Sutra, 5th century CE, and a part of Vajrabhumi during ancient times. During 10th and 13th century, a flourishing Jain settlement grew in the western part of the West Bengal, Purulia, Bankura, and Jhargram. During medieval period, British East India Company acquired this territory by obtaining the grant of Diwani of the Suba of Bengal, Bihar, Odisha in 1765. Present Purulia district came into the existence as the westernmost district of the state of West Bengal with effect from 1st November 1956. Early religious trend in Purulia described that Mahavira, the 24th Tirthankara, was the spiritual successor of the 23rd Tirthankara Pashwanath, is honored as the messenger of Jainism. Mahavira was born during the early part of 6th century BC into a royal family in Bihar, which was adjacent to the Purulia. Earlier, the district was known as Manbhum, and Manbhum was the tract through which the road commonly strolled to Puri. The Jaina antiquities and temples scattered throughout the district bear the evidences of widespread of Jainism in the region. In certain temples, the sculptures are regularly worshipped, not in Jain trend, but by flowers and vermilion, considering as Hindu divinity. পুরুলিয়া গ্রামে শিব হিসেবেই পুজো পান পার্শ্বনাথ ঋষভনাথরা। Purulia has the legacy of both rich cultural heritage, tangible and intangible. Intangible cultural heritage includes epics, tales, stories, music, song, dance, puppetry, theater, social practices, rituals, and festive events, knowledge and practices concerning nature and the universe, which inherited from past and act as a living bridge with people of present era. Purulia comes in the news for its Chhau, Jhumur, Bhadu, Tushu, Baha, and Sharpa dance, along with some other local folk dances and songs. Chhau dance of India has been inscribed on the representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity by UNESCO in 2010 as decision by ICOM. Professor Ashutosh Bhattacharya first witnessed Chhau in 1961 in Purulia, and by his endeavor, Chhau was presented in Delhi during 1969. Professor Bhattacharya presented Chhau in London, Paris, Holland, and Spain in 1972. A troupe of Chhau also performed dance in the United States and Canada in 1975. Chhau has also been performed at Osaka, Japan in 1991 by Gambhir Singh Mura and others. Padma Shri was awarded to the legendary artist of Chhau, Gambhir Singh Mura in 1981 and Nepal Mahato in 1983. Sangeet Natak Academy Award was conferred to Gambhir in 1982. In Purulia, tangible cultural heritage is confined to the valuable architecture and monuments, sculptures, paintings, artifacts, and manuscripts, which are very much historical and reflect the social cultural scenario of bygone days. Here, there are many photographs. I'm presenting here many photographs to explore the new history of Purulia. Archaeological heritage. Telkopi is famous archaeological heritage situated in Purulia. More than 20 temples, probably 26 doomed temples of Bhairavnath, goddess Parvati, goddess Kali were built during 1000 to 1700 AD, written by Begler. This archaeological site became inundated in the DVC Reservoir in 1959. The structure of Parvati, Vishnu and Rishabhnath are kept at the nearby village Gurudi. Only 2 temples stand today but submerged after the construction of Panchet Dam. Lalpur, here a huge stone sculpture of Ambika is scattered here and there. Banda, temple of Nagara architectural style and Rekha style solitary temple with mandapa. Cheliama is famous for terracotta temple of deity Radha Madhav or Radha Binod. Achkora, the terracotta temple of Raghunath. Bundla, ruins of ancient temple Shivlingo and a stone sculpture of 10-handed Vishnu. Ishra is famous for 4-armed female deity with clothes and turban. Gari Bero, Keshavnath Temple, Gopinath Temple, and Jor Bangla Temple are very much famous here. Gaur Panchakot is famous for terracotta Pancharatna Temple, stone-made Kankali, Polanishwari Temple, dilapidated Jor Bangla of terracotta and Pancharatna Temple. Gaunpur, Shaturi PS, Raghunath Temple of sandstone built during 1715 to 20 AD. Krosjuri, Shiva Temple, Dwarpal, Devmurti, Bamakali, Tenam deity, Bhairavi Murti, and some decorated hero stones saying about the history of bygone days. Para, the stone temple of goddess, brick temple of Chandi, and stone temple of Radharaman. Deulvira, stone sculpture of Horogauri, Durga, Gayatri, broken Shiva, Durga, Saraswati, and 1 Jaino deity. Anara, 10-armed Shiva, 4-armed Vishnu, and Lakulisa are preserved at Baneshwar. Here is Kangshavati River Valley project. There is many temples in dilapidated condition, mainly, especially the Deul Ghata. 2 brick-made high-reg Deul temple, stone sculpture of 800 deity of Ranachandi, 4-armed Jagadhatri, 10-armed Shingo Bahini, 4-armed Bhairavi, 4-armed standing Ganesha, Anadi Shivlingo, Siddheshwar, and Bhandari Shiva, and remnant of 1 temple. Jaipur, here incomplete Pathargarh, Dolmanchu, Mullidhar temple, and stone here. Some hero stones are preserved here. Hargara and Jaibari, large Amloka, stone-made ox, and many join idols are scattered here and there. Dimdiha, Jor Bangla, Sridhar temple is important here. Lagda, Shamchad temple of Babu Mahal, Muralidhar temple of Machpara, Raghunath temple of Namopara, Kali, Buddha, Nishingo, and Horodhanubhango, all terracotta figurines are scattered here and there. Chhara, the joint temple of several stone sculpture at Dharma Mandir and Baddakar Para. Gajpur, foundation of 5 temples, 2 headless Jaino Tirthankara, 1 Shantinath, 1 Rishabhnath. 8 pictures, 1 Ambika, several broken sculptures. Choto Balarampur, brick-made Nagara-style temple. Anai, Shantinath preserved in Jaina temple and Rishabhnath temple. Rali Beraya, Shiva, 1 Ganesha, 3 Haraparbati, and 1 stone sculpture are preserved here. Pakbira is very much famous in our archaeological history of West Bengal. Remnants of 20 temples and 3 are found today. The largest one is gigantic figure of Shitalnath made with black stone, locally known as Bhirom. Some Ambika, few Argho Mandir, Rishabhnath, Pareshnath, Mohabir, Ajitnath, Abonath, and Kumbhonath are preserved here. Tujjama is famous for one facing small temple, 70 to 75 stone relics known as Shoti Stambho. Lakra is famous for several structures of Amlak, Rishabhnath, Mohabir, and Hanuman. Baromasha is famous for structure of Mohavira, Argha Mandir, Rishabhnath, recovered from the dilapidated temple of Deulbaid, are preserved in a newly constructed Jaina temple. Subarna Rekha River Valley, here Shuisha is famous for 12 stone sculpture of Hindu and Jaina pantheon. Bagmundi, Radha Govinda temple of the royal family. Deuli, once there were Reg Deul, and at present 2 almost intact, 1 in dilapidated condition, 1 stone sculpture of Jaina Tirthankar standing in the Garbhagriha of the dilapidated temple. Harup, structure of Ishtonath at the bank of Harup Pond. Balarampur, 1 image of Rishabhnath is present at Shoshandigi. Shikrigi, Arghamondir image of Tirthankara and stone made one ox, Egda, one broken stone sculpture of Surjo, Borobaja, remnants of Surya deity is found at Ranishire. Here are a list of protected archaeological monuments protected by West Bengal state government and one giant temple at Banda Raghunathpur protected by central government ASI. Now the question is, why manage heritage? Identity, for explore, recover, preserve, restore, promote, sustain, build awareness among community and to the present and future generations, create value, harmonize pride and for national consciousness. But there are many challenges for heritage management: lack of interest and awareness of community and institutional vision, lack of respect for indigenous knowledge, rejection of traditions by younger generations, pull of modernity, acculturation and diffusion, growing urbanization and modernization, lack of skilled expert professionals, unauthorized commercial exploitation, challenges posed by new technology, lack of government support and fund, and decay due to the natural disasters and many factors. But here are potentiality of heritage management, because conservation is the ultimate goal of heritage management, but it is a challenge as heritage is a complex issue because it has multiple stakeholders with often conflicting interests. So heritage management relies on building consensus among communities through effective communication and capacity building, which should be contextual and congruent with the need of the stakeholders or community. Management framework is like that for value proposition, changing attitudes and mind setup, objectives, goals, organization, structure, processes, strategic plan, stakeholder management, conflict resolution, communication, resource mobilization, marketing plan, disaster recovery plan, project implementation and methodology, monitoring and evaluation, impact assessment, governance, managing relationship with policymakers, and build an ecosystem. Now our role of and contribution of Sidhu Kannu Biswa University as educational institution to conserve the heritage and restore the art and culture of Purulia. It's a very new university, but we are doing many things for restore the art and culture of Purulia. In conclusion, I wish to mention that the Purulia district is the grand exposition and land of treasure of art, culture, and heritage. In view of this, our both former and present Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, rendered constant support, keen interest, encouragement, and guidance with valuable advices to set up a central museum as ethnographical museum, publication of book on heritage work and museum guidebook, arrangement of heritage work with students and NSS team on 2019 and 2020. To emphasize and uphold the heritage and its management, the university has introduced one-year PG diploma course in museology and heritage management since 2021. As the best practice to cater to the students of this course, a memorandum of understanding has also been executed between the university and Gandhi Smarok Sangrahalaya, that is Gandhi Memorial Museum, Barakpur. Role of Sidhu Kannu Biswa University in the field and arena of arts and culture. Established of University Museum to explore and restore the art, craft, culture, and heritage, and to represent the antique and artifacts of the past, and to create awareness on the historical splendor of Purulia. The University Museum was inaugurated on 15th August 2016 to attract art lovers, scholars, and researchers, students and interested persons and professionals in our grand exhibition and display of 4 galleries, mainly the Handicraft and Decorative Art Gallery, Paintings and Historical Treasures Gallery, Indigenous Culture Gallery, Tribal Culture, and Folk Art Gallery. The museum serves as the true repository of arts and crafts. It reflects different artistic pattern, skill, conception, craftsmanship of artisans, socioeconomic condition with cultural growth, and essence of ethnic people across time and space of human history. Here are some evidence and some exhibits I'm presenting here. That is terracotta, woodcraft, dokra, conch, and marks, mainly collected from our adjacent areas and from Purulia. Agricultural items collected from tribal people, from indigenous people. Some tribal cultural model. Here is the Sherpa dance and some tribal model or diorama, you can say. On the other hand, SKB conducted heritage work, aims to create general awareness and consciousness of community on the heritage of the land, engaging local communities through direct participation in preparing list and documentation of heritage building, mapping tangible and intangible heritage resources for increasing local ownership on cultural resources, promoting cultural tourism, reviving crafts, enhance capacity, building proper workforce, thus ensuring economic benefit to the local people through employment and income generation using heritage assets, strengthening community identity and pride. We all know that heritage work plays a significant role for the development of history. To see the sites of the explored, unexplored, and neglected richness of the country, and restoration of art and culture of the locality through creating interest and involvement of the local community that in an indirect or direct way helps in carrying the structural elements of historical importance and conservation too. Heritage works also encourage people to support projects like preservation, conservation, and restoration of historical monuments to collect authentic information about historically important places and to publish it through various media. Here are a description of heritage work that SKB conducted on 2019. The work started from Tunturi, a village under Tunturi Shuisha Gram Panchayat and Bagmundi Panchayat Samiti, located nearly 72 kilometers away from Purulia town. There is a Jain temple at Tunturi, Shiva temple at Ghoshbari, Shiva temple at Devanbari, Harup, the Ambika. Here is the deity of Ambika behind a tree. Daily, there are many Jain temples in dilapidated condition. Temples at Deuli. The statue of Irgunath preserved here. Here is the Shuisha Museum, mainly a four-handed female figure riding an elephant, and there are many exhibits protected by State Directorate of Archaeology and Museums, state government. Here is a look of Shuisha Museum. The future plan of SKBU is collections of antiquities as per concerned laws with the help of the district administration, set up of a conservation laboratory with the help of our chemistry department and concerned organization, national workshop on museum conservation and heritage management, open air exhibition through direct community participation. And now today, our university heartily welcome all interested persons and research scholars to please visit our museum and indigenous study center at Sidhu Kanu Vishwa University. And of course, the Purulia district to explore new pages of history, art, and culture.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful talk. Purulia truly is a hub of culture, and from prehistoric times till now, we get to see a lot of cultures. And however, before going to hear the thoughts of Mishra sir and Atul sir. I would like to tell all presenters that due to a short time, we will ask you to keep your presentation very firm and short, so we can hear from all of the presenters that are left. Thank you. And Mishra sir, please.
Thank you, Professor Sharmila Gupta. Actually, Purulia region is very popular, not only of the AD.
I think Mishra sir is having some kind of connectivity problem.
So I give you a very hearty congratulations for giving such a nice presentation, that too about heritage and heritage management, how to do it. And this is the responsibility not only of the government, but the local people and the universities also to take care of it. So my hearty congratulations for this wonderful lecture.
Thank you, sir.
Anuja.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we would like to move on to our next presentation. The next paper is by three joint authors, by Mr. Devjit Ghosh. He is MPhil Research Scholar of Ancient Indian History, Culture and Archaeology, Vishwabharati, Shantiniketan. Second author is Mr. Shayan Sharnal. He is pursuing MSc in Digital Humanities and Social Science, Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur. And third author is Ms. Ohana Ghosh. She is doctoral scholar, fellow of Humanities and Social Science, Indian Institute of Technology of Gandhinagar. The name of this paper is People and Their Heritage, a case study of Chinsura, West Bengal, Eastern India. I'd invite them to present the paper. Thank you. Devji?
Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello,
Yeah,
everyone. Yes. Can I start?
Yes, please.
Yes.
That is all yours.
Yes, very well. Devajit, you are very well audible and you are seen. Welcome.
Okay, sir. I am presenting the paper, and for a better experience, as I have some network connectivity issues here, so I am switching off the video, and I will switch on the video after the presentation. Okay. So hello everyone. Hello everyone, our esteemed panelists, the organization, and obviously Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology for giving us this wonderful opportunity for presenting this topic in front of a larger audience. So our topic is basically people and their heritage, and we have taken the city of Chinsura in West Bengal, that is in Hooghly district, for a case study. So we will try to explain why we have chosen specifically the site of Chinsura. So this is a paper that is jointly authored by me, Shayan Sharnal and Ohana Ghosh, and I am presenting this on behalf of three of us. So here you can see some visual representations. On your left side, what you are watching right now, that is the visual representation of our abstract. And the words that are mostly highlighted, these are the words that will be focused throughout the study. And on the right side, this is showing some kind of linkages that will be tried to be followed or analyzed during the presentation and also during the study. So basically, this is the scheme of the presentation. First, we will discuss a very brief background of the study, followed by the previous works in the field. Then why this study is taken, its purpose, then the methodology and data collection tools, followed by the outcome and interpretation, and obviously in the last but not the least, the limitations and future scopes. So for the background of the study, we have chosen the city of Chinsura. So if we just discuss briefly the origin of Chinsura, when we pronounce the name Chinsura, many times it comes with the colonial approach, like the Dutch was there in Chinsura, or it was a colonial settlement. But before the European arrival, there were some villages in Chinsura like Dharampur and Kanakshali, etc. Even these areas are now located as a different kind of paras or localities in this city. So before European arrival, there was also some settlements in Chinsura, although very less works have been done on that portion. And if I just want to mention the age of Chinsura, then I can say that it is more than 500 years old, because there is a temple that is named Sandhya Temple in Chinsura. That is also 500 years old. So in this sense, we can obviously say that this is a very old settlement. And in another sense, it is a city, a very small city, but a treasure trove of heritage. Why I am saying this, I will be explaining that in the further slides. And it is one of the reasons is the colonial impact, not exactly colonial impact, but the cultural influence that has been given, or that has been come by the colonial arrival. And the third point is the administrative significance of Chinsura, because it is a Shodor town of Hooghly district, and many of the district headquarters and administrative major works are done here. So this point will also be addressed in analyzing the outcome and interpretation portion of the research. So these are some of the previous years. I am just briefly saying some words about these works. So when we were talking about this, when we were discussing about this topic, we come across a paper that was about the local people's perception of participating in conservation in heritage site. It was done in China in 2014 in a natural heritage site. So this paper actually helped us to take forward our idea for a pilot study. And then also there are some other papers like the awareness of cultural heritage among the university teachers level in India, and also in Chandannagar, that is a town just beside Chinsura. It was a French settlement. There one master's thesis has been done about the community involvement in built heritage conservation. And also about the Hooghly area, the digitization and European heritage, Kush Sengupta has done some works. The major works in Chinsura has been done in 2014 by Aishwarya Tipnis Architects of Delhi with the funding support from the Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands. And also about India, Mr. Subroto Pal has shown the archaeological and tourism potential value. And non-academic person, Mr. Shankho Subro Ganguly, is doing some very authentic work on writing in Bengali about different heritage sites in his blog, Hooghly Heritage, specifically for Hooghly districts. So these are some of the works previously has been done specifically in Hooghly district and also in Chinsura. So this is just a snapshot from the Dutch in Chinsura website that was developed by Aishwarya Tipnis Architects. And this is the Hooghly Heritage blog snapshot. And this is the Hooghly Houses project of the Hooghly Heritage platform, basically documenting and mapping the old houses of Hooghly district and also in Chinsura, because Chinsura is in Hooghly district. So although this study is trying to cover the whole of Chinsura, but we have tried to focus on four main sites. So these are Gorosthan or Dutch Cemetery, then Edwardian Clock Tower or Ghuri Mor, then Bankim Bhavan or Bande Mataram Bhavan, and Sandhya Temple complex. So these four areas have been chosen because when we in the initial stage in 2021, the first after 2021, when we started the reconnaissance survey about this topic, we have come across one aspect that people are talking about these four sites very much, and these four heritage sites are somehow very much connected with the identity of Chinsura, and specifically the Ghori Mode. I will mention that. In this presentation, in the spelling of Ghori Mode, the R is somehow it is S. I am really sorry for this glitch. So this is the map of the 4 sites and the study area. Now, just a brief introduction. All this information is available on the website done by Ashwina Tipnis Architects Farm. Just a basic information I am giving here, because this is not an area of this specific study. So this area is locally known as Gorosthan. In Bengali, it is basically the cemetery area, Dust Cemetery, and it is of 18th to 19th century, and its area is also very big, 7,400 square kilometers, and it is the present cemetery that is used by the local Christian community of Chinsura. Then followed by the Ghori Mode Edwardian Clock Tower. It was erected in memory of the commemoration of King Edward VII of Great Britain. Then you can see the emblem of the Edwardian Clock Tower. Then the Bankim Bhavan, our India's national song, Vande Mataram, has been written by Bengali novelist, famous Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, in this house. And it is known as both Bankim Bhavan and Vande Mataram Bhavan. Then the Sandhya Temple complex I have earlier mentioned, it is more than 500 years old. You can see the structure, it is actually newly built, but the old temple is actually more than 500 years old. And this place is also very much significant because of its intangible cultural heritage value, because the Utsav of Chanakan Gajan in the last month of Bengali year, that is Chaitra, is performed here, and it is also as old as the temple, like more than 500 years old. And these are some of the other temples of this complex. So the purpose of the study is basically, if you find the other previous works, these works are mainly focused on the documentation and mapping. Although this present study is trying to understand the dynamic perceptions of the people who are living under the purview of these heritage sites. How heritage and people's identity can be correlated, or how heritage can be a part of their life. So these changing dynamics and perceptions will trying to be analyzed through a qualitative approach through this specific study. So what methodology we have adopted? We basically started a reconnaissance survey, as I have mentioned, and then we followed the observational approach, trying to understand what about what people are talking. And then we initiated some kind of snowball sampling because of the pandemic situation. And through the personal communication and snowball sampling, we have interviewed the persons from different kind of age group, from who are living under the purview of these specific sites, like under the 5 kilometer radius, 5 to 10 kilometer radius of these specific 4 sites, because our focus on this was on these 4 sites. And we have also tried to maintain the confidentiality of participants. We have promised them that only the information about their perception towards the Chinsura's heritage will be analyzed. Their name and their exact location will never be disclosed in any platform. And lastly, I would like to say that it is a totally a pilot study to understand the future potential of this specific kind of research. So this is a sample from the questionnaire. We have made a total of 21 questions. All are the qualitative and some are quantitative, but not many. So these are some of the samples we have asked people to answer. And yeah, so this is the main section of this presentation, outcome and interpretation. So we can divide this area in 4 subgroups, 4 groups. One is consciousness about heritage. Another is a tranquil image of Chinsura. The third one is proper dissemination of knowledge. And the fourth one is need for an all-round development. Let's just discuss all these 4 points briefly. So what about the consciousness of heritage? It has been found that all the persons may not know everything about a heritage site, but people are somehow quite aware that, yeah, Chinsura is an old town and it has a long history and heritage. Every people, even the shop owners or a normal a person who is just residing at home or doing any kind of work. So everyone are conscious about some kind of historical significance of Chinsura. And another thing is that there are also the different memories with one specific site. For example, the Gorosthanot Dutch cemetery. When it was not very well restored, so that time that area was not very much accessible. So people were afraid to go there because of the fear of ghost. But later, when it was restored, and the people between the 25 to 35 years old, so they have told that for them it was a space of freedom, because they used to play there and no one was there to scold them. But the 45 to 60 years people, they have told that they never visited the place because it was a kind of very neglected area during that time. So only the restoration of a specific site can really demarcate different kind of memories. And also we have encountered feeling of belongingness to a specific sites, like same kinds of different kind of special memories are attached to the sites. And another thing I would like to mention about the Dutch legacy. For example, the drainage system of Chinsura, it was developed by the Dutch, and it is even now maintained. And for this, the overall drainage system in Chinsura is systemized till now. And lastly, we'd like to mention that in Chinsura, we don't find just the Dutch or the British. Even before there was Portuguese for some time. And also in Chinsura, one of the oldest Armenian churches there. Just beside the Chinsura in Bandel, there is the oldest Catholic church of Asia, that is the Bandel Church. And also the Iranian Persian influence is also can be found in Chinsura through the Imambara and through the Motijil Mosque. So it was a confluence of cultures. So not only just it was a settlement of Dutch, but we must say that Chinsura was a confluence of culture, and people are quite much aware of this heritage value. Second, the tranquil image of Chinsura. So this is actually the interesting point of this study, which we have come across, because people are okay with restoring or conserving the heritage sites of Chinsura. They're okay. But one thing, everyone said that the tranquil image of Chinsura should or must be maintained or must be preserved, because to everyone, more than heritage value, Chinsura has a tranquil image. It has a tranquility. It has peaceful living space. There are morning walks in the Marketdhar, which was actually the old Dutch fort area. That was the Gustavus Fort area. And also it is a little area, but all the basic needs are there, because as I have mentioned that it is a Sodor town. And also in the way it is on the west bank of Ganges. So the blessings of nature and quite calm environment is there. So people are very much pleased with this tranquil environment of Chinsura, and they have told that this image first to be maintained, and this image first to be preserved, and then the historical value. Like this tranquil image of Chinsura has more value to its people, more than its historical image. So this is an important point. So just for example, you can see the area of Bankim Bhavan. It is also just on the bank of Ganges, and the area is known as Joraghat. And it is from the Shandeshwar Tola Ghat, the Shandeshwar Temple complex, just besides the complex. So this can actually define the tranquil image of Chinsura, we must say. Then the third point is the proper dissemination of knowledge. So this is a quite interesting point we have come across. The use of social media is emphasized, and another thing is emphasized, that is the use of digital screen on the congested areas of Chinsura, like the Ghori Mode I have mentioned, Edwardian Clock Tower, or the Chinsura station area, or the bus stand, because many people are there every time. So if through a digital screen, the history of Chinsura, the heritage value of Chinsura is shown there, so people somehow will look at this, and this may help in the dissemination of knowledge. And another thing can be suggested through this study, that is inclusion of local history on the school curriculum. That can actually help us from a very early age to know the heritage of our own locality, to know the heritage of our own city or town or village or anything. And another thing is also important, the responsibilities of nearby citizens or the residents. That is also important. Without that, it cannot be done. And obviously, a systematic planning for all of this should be initiated by the government. So for the proper dissemination of knowledge, as I have mentioned, this is the Gorimod area, and it is actually the, we can say, the economic hub or the commercial hub of Chinsura. So here, in many areas, the digital screens are used. So the history of Chinsura actually can be shown through the digital screen. And this area is very much important, because if you ever find any kind of logo of Chinsura, you will find the upper portion of the clock tower on that logo. So the Edwardian clock tower is actually very much associated with the identity of Chinsura right now. And that is the importance of this specific area. And this is the last point, the need for an all-round development. So many have suggested about ticketing system, and many have not suggested. So the basic point is that a security guard to every heritage site should be there for, and it is for to stop vandalizing the sites. If you go to the dust cemetery area, every graves are vandalized. Something is written on that. So these are the problems, and even some illegal works are many times have been found inside the Dutch cemetery. Recently, ASI have taken the restoration and conservation, and it is a very good point that if ASI will be conserving it in a very systematic process and keep some proper security guard there, it will be helpful for preserving the age-old Dutch cemetery. And then also the transportation. So it has been, it seems that many times only the heritage sites are preserved and conserved, not the purview of that area, like the roads, the transportation system. For example, I can say you the Dutch cemetery area. So the road is there, like not very much good, or even in the Sandhya temple complex, the road for entering is very narrow. So these are some of the problems of transportations and that need to be addressed. Some hoardings should be placed on every heritage sites, and their distance from one another. So this will actually help for an all-round development, not only the heritage sites, but also the lives of the residents who are living under the purview of that sites. So this is the present photograph I have taken of the Dutch cemetery. The ASI work has been going on there, the conservation and preservation. And yeah, so this was a very much pilot study, not a large-scale survey, but it can be done on a large-scale survey. In future scopes, we can say that it can be done in a systematic way, and it can also help in memory mapping and digital cataloging of the journey of the evolution of that specific heritage place and all over Chinsura. And not only all over Chinsura, but also the whole west bank of Ganges in the Hooghly district, because it is the confluence of culture. If you see the Srilampur, there was Danish settlement. If you see the Chandannagar, there was French settlement. And in Chinsura, I have said that it is a confluence of cultures. So it can also promote tourism, and in somehow it may also promote the employability in future through the proper, but the proper digital cataloging should be there, because this is an age of digitalization, and that in our opinion that should be utilized in a proper way. So I have almost come to the end of the presentation. These are the acknowledgements to everyone who have given their support to us, specifically the Heritage Cell, of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology for giving us the opportunity. The people of Chinsura who have wisely contributed their time to the study, and specifically Mr. Shankhu Subro Ganguly and Ms. Orunima Roy for their honorable suggestions, and all our well wishers. So yeah, this is the last slide, and we would be happy to take any kind of questions and any kind of suggestions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Raghuji. That was such a interesting and enlightening presentation. I'd ask Mishra sir to share his thoughts.
It was really very interesting, Devajit Ghosh. You have given a very good picture about the Chinchura city. I can know what is your planning, how you have suggested a very nice scientific proposal about a tranquil image of Chinchurya. You have suggested very well. And then you asked for proper dissemination of knowledge. Also, you have explained us very well. And you need that for an all-round development. You have suggested so many things, which really I appreciate. And what are the future scopes? That also you have suggested. It was very interesting to hear you, but I tell you, when I was the regional director of Eastern Zone of Archaeological Survey of India, so I asked for GIS for whole of this area, that is Chinsura, and we have got about 95 structures which has been plotted in this area, and they all need to be preserved. I think the local people should take up this task. Department Archaeological Survey of India has got limited scopes, and we are saving the Dutch monastery, which you know we are preserving it in the best way. So it was very interesting information, suggestions which you have given. You know that that place has got a district code building, which is the longest building of West Bengal. I think you know about it. And the Dutch cemetery itself is a building which can be declared as a World Heritage Monument. It is of 1743 AD, a very lucid and beautiful building of that period. As we all know, that that area was the trading center of Dutch East India Company, and native Bengali merchants lived there. They developed that whole town in their own way. But now a lot of de-civilization is being done there. New builders have started coming, and they are constructing new things which you should have also put in your lecture. But I'm very happy, and I congratulate you for such a decent suggestion and very nice planning about that area. We would see how best we can utilize and use it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And I'd like to mention that this is a joint work of me, Mr. Shayan Shandal and Ms. Ohana Ghosh. Both of them are present here. So this is a result of the work of three of us, and we have tried to do a pilot study, and we hope that in future we can do some large-scale study on this kind of topic.
Thank you
very
so
useful
much.
Suggestions you have given. All three needs to be congratulated.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Now, the next presentation will be from Mr. Tanmoy Howladar. He has pursued PGDA from Institute of Archaeology and have been a research scholar under Archaeological Survey of India in many sites, and is currently working as an independent researcher. The name of his paper is Digitization of Archaeological Remain, the Pathway of Future Archaeological Research. Now I would like to invite Mr. Tanmoy for his lecture, for his presentation.
Hello,
Yes.
am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Chairman and Director, sir. And good evening, Anuja. And first of all, I will thank you for giving me this opportunity. I know there's a very time limit, so I guess I am directly moving to my presentation first. Is the presentation is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible. It is visible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It is
So
visible.
my topic is that digitization of archaeological remains, the pathway of future archaeological research. So as we know that this era and this the time is a time of digitally everything you have to make it digital, and this is the our main motto is to digital the archaeological remains actually.
Sir,
So
चल रहा है सर, लास्ट है, आप 2 मिनट आएंगे क्या? मैं अभी होल्ड कर रहा हूँ सर. ओ सर, बहुत अच्छा होगा. Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. I will just announce it. Thank you.
Should I continue?
Just wait for a second on my. I think VC sir will be joining us.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Just wait for a second.
Sir, please continue, sir.
Okay. Then I will.
Yeah, just let Mishra sir. Sir, Mishra sir, should he continue?
Vice Chancellor is also joining us, Anja.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Actually, Mr. Sir's mic was unmuted.
Yeah.
He will join us within 5 minutes. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Let Tanmay start his
Yes. Tanmay, just go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Then for the next slide, I'll make a little content that this first I will describe the introduction and some software details for reconstruction the artifacts and data interpretation and 3D models of artifacts and the modern take what we used in the and its result, what is the output of the modern technology used, and the conclusion and future possibilities. On the introduction, I will say that the archaeology, the excavation is a destruction, and that's very old concept that when you excavate a site, that will destruct and that will destroy the site actually. And for the further future and for the further researcher, it is very difficult to get the data from that site after it is excavated, because on the older days it is not very strict that all the sites should be very protective and all the sites should be very after the excavation it should put the mud again and very well maintained and well preserved. But so what I'm thinking that digitalize all the data and all the data we can get and all the objects is very useful and is very essential for the future participants or future scholars to study them and for the better outputs and for the better knowledge for the future. I'll go to the software details and the reconstruction the artifacts. So there's a basic software.
Mr. Sir, VC sir is with us.
Oh, she has arrived. Okay. Anuja?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good evening, sir.
Anuja, VC sir has arrived.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Yes, we are in between a presentation, sir. The presentation is on the digital reconstruction of archaeological materials, sir. And Mishra, sir.
Just a minute, Pooja. Let me get in the car. Then I'll join.
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right, sir.
So I think Dr. Misra, can I start now?
Sure, sir.
Yes.
Sure, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a great that Dr. Misra from the Heritage Cell of our university has organized this series of lectures for the benefits of all the researchers in the field of archaeology, heritage preservation and restoration, restorations, and also for to take care of these lots of cultural aspects as far as this state is concerned, and as well as other parts of the country. And I could not join this program initially because I had to travel, so I missed the chance of remaining present from the beginning. but the recorded program will be available at our internet TV, and I'll be watching it from there. And at the subsequent other programs, I'll be joining from the very beginning. And my sincerest thanks to all the resource persons who have come over here. I believe that all the participants, they have been immensely benefited from the deliberation by these all the experts as last stage, then kindly complete.
Some connectivity problem.
No, can you hear me, Dr. Mishra?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it is
No,
very clear.
Yeah. No, if it is at the last stage of this program, they kindly conclude it and summarize the entire programs and complete this today's proceeding. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving a brief. Sir, tomorrow is also the conference will go, so we will request you for tomorrow.
Yes, sure.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anuja,
Yes,
let
please.
him start.
Yeah, Tanmay, please continue.
Yeah.
Tanmay, please continue. You are not audible, Tanmay. Yeah.
Mr. Tanmay Holadar, you can join us.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tanmay, yeah.
Kindly present and please unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, please.
Okay.
Your PPT is visible, but please
Yes,
unmute
yes,
yourself.
yes. You're
now it's okay, no?
audible now. Yes, you're audible now. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Now I'm going for the software details and reconstruction the artifacts. So there's some basic software I'm using for reconstruction the softwares, reconstructing the objects and artifacts. This is Adobe Photoshop, is a basic software. We all and everyone use this software in the field. This for drawing purpose, 2D images purpose, and then the Corel Draw. There is also a graphic processing software. Then the Micromedia Flash. This is 2D model making software actually, and there's some Blender, MeshLab, Autodesk Maya, AutoCAD, and Premiere Pro for the video editing actually. The Blender, MeshLab, and the Autodesk Maya is particularly using for the 3D modeling for some reconstructing the artifacts and for the animation for creating modelings from the actual photographs. So there is the view of Adobe Photoshop that we can measure, we can assemble all these photos and recreate and with the measurements and recreate a visual presentation of any artifacts and all. And then there is a Microsoft Flash. So this is a wheel of a chariot. Some are found in UP. So this is from this software you can build and you can recreate a model from the actual photograph. This is a Blender and MeshLab. From it is a, this is used for the photogrammatic. So we can take we can put an object and take so many photographs from the 360 angle from each and every view, and in using this software we can create a 3D image and reconstruction the artifacts for the better presentation, better views, and for the other scholars we can present the our output results. So it for this 3D model technology and 3D modeling, we can have a better results of any artifacts. Sometimes we have found some very precious artifacts. This is very fragile or very precious. We can't give every time to every scholar to explain this artifacts. But if we have the 3D modeling using those software, this is very useful and very easy to access or to all the few further and future scholars to have the access and have the study of any artifacts. This is Autodesk Maya. This is also a 3D software, and we can put some texturing, we can animation, we can have a different views, and we can make also the 3D models using this software. This is AutoCAD. We can make 3D models over there, and the plan, any kind of 2D drawings we can make using this software. And this is a Premiere Pro. While presenting any 3D model or any video format, this is the useful software to make the video. We can make any type of videos using this software. And now I'm moving to that next data interpretation and 3D models of artifacts. So there is a coffin. There is a coffin is very well known. This is from Sinoli. On the left hand side, this is the actual photograph, and the right hand side, I made the 3D conjectural model. So this is on the side where you take the actual photograph, and this is very difficult to imagine for the scholars and for the archaeologists to what would be the actual shape of the coffin. So we take the measurement, we are trying to find the specific parts, and we are from this we are trying to recreate the whole image and conjectural 3D model, and try to make the conjectural 3D model as close as the main artifact. This is a wooden coffin, so we put some wooden texture on it, so it will give us the knowledge to how exactly it is look like from that time when it is buried. There is the actual photographs, and there is a 3D model. So from this actual photograph, it is very muddy, and with the concern of mud, we can. It's very tough to imagine. It's very tough to very tough to retrieve all the objects, because if you try to excavate and if you try to unmount all the features, is very destructive process, because the copper settings and the others and very specific parts is very fragile. While it is excavating, it might broke or something, so we keep it exactly like that and collect the features and try to reconstruct the 3D model in a conjectural mode. There is a chariot we have found in Sinoli. This is very well known in this present time. So from this actual image on the side, I am trying to make a conjectural view how the chariot might look like in the ancient times. So it is very easy then, if you have the 3D model, so you can imagine what is the shape, what might be the weight, how it will move on, how it is made, how the wooden structures, how the wheels and the yoke and the pole is fitted. So from this actual photographs, or from these actual objects in the site, we can make the 3D models. So it might help, and it will help the scholars, and it will help anyone to understand how the chariot would look like in a conjectural mode. This is the actual photographs of the wheel we have found and excavated in the Sinoli. In this inner hub and the outer hub, the actual photograph shows a design, a pattern of the wheel decorated, and then I made the conjectural 3D model to understand how it is made, how the design would made, and how it will look like. Because when if we are in the actual site, it is very difficult to is very difficult to excavate, and to very difficult to understand how it's look like, what is the actual shape of it. But when we are drawing and when we collect the data from the actual photograph and make it in 3D contextual mode, it will like, and it will give a feel of an original wheel, how it is made and how it is look like. Some modern takes. So I made a list of the modern takes I will use, and we all gonna use for this modern archaeological aspect. That is matrix geophotogrammetry, magnetic surveying, GPR, laser scanning, metal detecting, LiDAR and digital terrain modeling, drone photography, microscopic analysis, X-ray, XRD, XRF, holograms, and 3D printings. So those are very useful techniques and technologies we must have to use for this archaeological field to have a better result for the further future. So this is a matrix view software. So for this matrix view software and using the drone photography, we can plot and we can map the actual site. This is a site in UP. So we can actually using this software we can have the actual train mapping. We can have the actual elevation mapping, and we can have the plan mapping. Using this software, we can have 3-4 data. This is very useful that you don't have to go to the field and we don't have to calculate this much have to where the heights and where the elevation is. But using this software you can get 3-4 data within a minute and within one platform. This is a GPR machine we are further using in some sites in UP and some sites in Rajasthan. So there's a output result of the GPS and magnetometer, magnetometer we using there, and using the GPS we can have the data. On the bottom we have found the we have made the map of the actual field. So using this machine and using this GPS technology, we don't have to excavate the whole area. On the previously where we have to imagine where the main why we have to make the plots, we have to make the trenches. Suddenly some accidental findings will happen. Sometimes we get nothing, but using this software you see the map, there's a black spots over there, so that shows that the specific something, some structures, some elements, some objects might be buried there. So we must go for there, and we can plot and we can easily spot the area, and we can make the trenches and we can get the actual results. This is the Paro 3D scanner actually for laser scanning. For this laser scanning, we can make the 3D view of the whole site of the whole site. So we have to put the machine for the different site, different location of the site, and for this from there we can have the actual 3D view of the site. This is drone photography. Using the drone is very essential, and nowadays is very trendy actually. Using a drone. So using a drone and very different sensors, we can have a very good terrain mapping. We can have the elevation. We can have the paleo channels. We can spot the site. We can have spotted each and every particular things is very useful for the future. And this is a trendy tradition that using the drone and drone photography, and not that we have to make a structure in the field and have the photography from the top, but using the drone you can have a very good photo actually from for any site. This is microscopic analysis. This is a polarized microscope.
Sorry, but please keep it a little short.
Okay. I'll take 5 minutes more. Okay. Okay, there's a microscopic analysis. From this microscopic, polarized microscopic, and there's very several microscope. We can easily have a better view. This is X-ray. So while using the X-ray, this is the artifacts from site Sinoli. So we can easily having the good, better result from the X-ray presentation, from the X-ray view. So this is the showed actually very crumbled and very dusty, and it is very tough to remove all the soils. Do not disturb this object, but using this X-ray
This
technique.
Omona Ghosh is presenting man. এখন বলছে না না এটা তো ইয়ে প্রেজেন্ট করছে
Mute please, Devajit Ghosh. Hello.
Hello. Should I continue?
Yes, sir, please.
Oh, okay. For this is a 3D printing technique. So 3D printing technique is a very useful technique and very modern technique. So while you showing the 3D printing object, so if any sculpture, any object is broken and it might be a replicate or something, so using this 3D printing techniques, we can easily make a replica, and we can rejoin this any part of any object and rebuild or reconstruct any kind of object. This is 3D printing objects. So this is a Harvard University is recently done. And conclusion, the further possibilities that interpretation for the new generation is a modern way for presentation. For all kind of age groups, is a virtual perspective. It will give a very virtual perspective. Making a 3D modeling is very easy to understand the measurements and hidden features of any artifacts. We can recreate the ancient time into the life from. By those types of model, we can create a life-size model of 3D printing technology by using this while replicate and engage the artifacts of any antiquities for any museum, any sites, caves. We can make anything for the 3D printing technology. If we have the replica, if we have the broken part, if we have the suggestive object, so we can make very easily, we can make a 3D object, and 3D within the 3D printer, we can make a replica of that. There is some recent work. So this one of pots is a hand drawing pot, and using this hand drawing pot, I can make it a 2D drawing, and then that 3D view. So from this hand drawing to 3D view, it will give you a better result and better understanding of any artifacts actually. This is the pillar base of Dholavira. So from this actual sites and actual measurements, we can have the a replicate pillar of Dholavira. Thank you very much.
For this wonderful and very informative lecture. I'd like to ask Mr. Sir for his thoughts.
Your lecture should have been on the very first lecture, because it was such an interesting lecture. Because nowadays my university, MAKAUT needs this kind of suggestions, which digitization of archaeological remains. So I'm sorry, next time when we will invite you, we will put you in the first list. I'm so glad to hear your all details, that how we are preserving these, how we are doing all these documentation with GPR and with laser scanning and with drone photography. All this was very informative, and it is a new thing. Almost it is in a very primary stage, but I'm sure that in coming years, after 10 years, this will be one of the most important tools for archaeologists to go for archaeological excavations and explorations.
Yes, sir, definitely.
I know digitization has got its own merit, because it gives us the exact geometrical characteristics we get with this digitization. We get 3D digitization of archaeological conservation or artifacts or the excavated sites. Whereas manually, when we do, it takes a lot of time, and we are not sure whether it is correct or not correct. But with this digitization, there is no chances of getting it wrong. For as an archaeologist, my experience for 36, 37 years in Archaeological Survey of India in various capacity, I find for excavation, it is one of the important and best tool for the excavation reports, for making documentation, etc. We get the data collections, we get the applications in field works. So digit allows us to analysis, documentation and reconstruction of data, historical things and artifacts to be, so in that way, conducted through non-intrusive methods, allowing archaeologists to preserve the data and cultural heritage held with these archaeological findings. So this is a very, very important subject. Although Anuja has brought us in the last lecture, but I am rejuvenated by your lecture, and I am thinking of our archaeological field with your new ideas and new things which you have said, the digitization of archaeological remains. I congratulate you from my core of the heart that you go ahead on this topic and give us some good thoughts as you have given. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It's my pleasure. And thank you, Anuja, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you, Panikant, sir. Because while doing anything is manually, it will take 10, 20 days. But digitizing all these things is like 2-3 days, we can give the result. Yes. And it's exact and better result we can get.
Yes,
so,
yes.
So
I agree with you.
I hope some modern times we can get the feedback from the archaeologists and ASI also. So for
Sure,
the
sure.
further research. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you
We
for
will.
joining us.
Thank you
Anuja,
so
I think
much.
we can ask for the questions also. If there are someone who must be there, because we have taken a lot of time. And so if there is any question answer session, we can do that also.
No, sir. Actually, there are 2 more presentations, sir. Yeah.
Okay, there are 2 more presentations.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Sorry, I thought this was the
Yeah.
last.
No,
Okay, so
sir. No, sir.
Atmaja Bose is there. No, she is ready with the presentation.
Yes,
Welcome,
sir.
welcome.
Yes,
Welcome,
yes.
Atmaja. Welcome.
Sir, Dr. Atkoja Bose is a PhD scholar of University of Calcutta Foreign Language Department of Russian Language, and she's considered to be a doyen in Russian linguistical study and lexicological study, and has been awarded many prestigious awards from universities like Oxford and St. Petersburg University. Currently, she is an independent research fellow, and her paper is on the path-breaking maverick efforts of the first Russian Indologist, Gerasim Stepanovich Lebedev.
Very good evening.
Welcome.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes. Yeah.
Firstly, I'm expressing my heartfelt gratitude to the University Authority and especially the Heritage Cell, all of you, and my distinguished listeners. As you all know that we are running out of time, and because of the shortage of time, I'll make it as summarized as it can. So I make it very brief, very brief. So the article attempts to delineate the plot, the contours of the intercultural contributions of Gerasim Lebedev in a linguistic cultural domain totally alien to him in early colonial Calcutta. Gerasim Stepanovich Lebedev, or Gerasim Lebedev, a Russian linguist, adventurer, translator, musician, and writer, lived in Kolkata for 10 years from 1787 to 1797. Lebedev, a pioneer of Russian Indology and also of Bengali theatre, opened with the assistance of local intellectuals at 25 Domtola, which is right now at 37 Ezra Street in Kolkata, that used Bengali actor and actresses for the first time in the performances of Bengali adaptations of The Disguise and The Love is the Best Doctor on 27th of November 1795. Gerasim Lebedev taught himself Hindi, Sanskrit, Bengali, and especially spoken Hindustani before translating plays and becoming a theatre pioneer. In June 1794, a Russian musician by the name of Gerasim Lebedev was listed as a resident of Calcutta, as it seemed unusual to find a Russian in India at the British era. Gerasim Lebedev was not only the pioneer of Bengali theatre, but also a great observer of the Indian society in British era. We can able to see the social, cultural scenario through his eyes. And I especially wanted to mention that after his return from India, Lebedev published one of the first grammars of the new Indo-Aryan languages, focusing mostly on spoken Hindustani in 1801 in London. And in 1802, he founded in St. Petersburg the first printing house in Europe to use Bengali script. It was there that Lebedev's principal work, an impartial review of the East Indian Brahmin systems of their sacred rites and folk customs, was published in 1805. In this book, Lebedev made an attempt to acquaint the educated class of Russia and India's rich heritage. For number of attempts, for number of reasons, the book remained unnoticed, so that our objective is to pay special attention in it. Through this book, we can cherish the social, cultural customs in the eyes of an Indologist. And we can able to see all the social, cultural, and economic scenario in this book also. The basic of this paper is to pay homage to the man who gave 20 years of his life just to discover India against British rule,
and his love for our country and culture of us compelled him to learn Indian languages. It is our duty to rediscover our history through the eyes of Gerasim Stefanovich Lebedev. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was such a brief but very informative session.
I can try to deliver all the information as small as possible.
And Mishra sir, I would like to have your thoughts.
Thank you, Dr. Atmaja. And
Sir, your audio is not audible. I think there's some connectivity problem.
Yes, sir, you are not audible.
Yeah, you're not audible, sir. Yes.
is it okay?
Yeah, it is okay, sir.
Now you can hear me?
Yes, sir. Now we
Yes,
can.
sir.
Thank you, Dr. Atmaja Bose. It was interesting for me to hear you in a very short lecture where you have very interestingly informed about this pioneer of theatre pioneer, knowing him so well with his books about the social, cultural, and economic scenario of Aryan language. And we were very much happy to hear this also, that in 1801 in London, first printing house in Europe was there in Bengali language. I think it is a very new information for us, and such informations where we are getting social, cultural, and economic scenario of Kolkata is really very, very interesting for we archaeologists. Historical and archaeological background with this book. I will happy congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your presentation. Now I would like to move on to our last presentation, that is by Dr. Kuntal Narayan Chaudhuri, State-Aided College Teacher, Department of History, Calcutta Girls College, Kolkata, and Dr. Shreyashi Chaudhuri, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Vivekananda College, Kolkata. And the name of their paper is Lakshmi's Footprints, Oral Traditions and Sustainable Livelihood in Bengal Experience. Ma'am, if you have joined, please.
Yes. Am I audible?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, you're audible and visible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I am Shreyashi Chaudhuri from the Department of History, Calcutta Girls College. And
okay.
A very small mistake in our part. When we send the abstract, I understand.
Yeah.
So kindly bear with me because I'm the last presenter. So I'll just finish it.
Last one is always very interesting. Yeah. Don't worry.
Okay, sir. Sir, my deepest regards to Vice Chancellor, sir, Dr. Mishra and Dr. Basu, as well as Madam Bose. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I'm just starting my presentation.
Yes.
So is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. So the topic of my presentation is Lakshmi's Footprints, Oral Tradition and Sustainable Livelihood in Bengal Experience. So briefly about the oral traditions, as we know.
Can you make it a full view?
Just a minute. Sorry, actually that bar is just over my full screen option. So I can't remove that bar of Zoom.
Ma'am, you can zoom it. You can zoom it at the bottom right corner.
Oh, okay, fine. Now, is it better?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. It is. Yeah.
Fine, fine. Thank you. So these oral traditions, they allow society to hand down to future generation through verbal communication, the wealth of cultural norms and ecological knowledge that sustains them in the physical environment where they are entrenched. So Bengal, as we know, it is poised on the luxuriant eastern edge of South Asia. It has a rich tradition of diverse genre of oral lore in the form of tales, ballads, riddles, proverbs, chants, songs, and others that stretch back to medieval times and perhaps even earlier. Women are at the heart of these oral expressions of subsistence farming communities. Their practical knowledge of food production systems ensures the food security and healthcare. This ability of women to sustain traditional agrarian living based on subsistence farming is reflected in a paradigm that women are harbingers of prosperity. They are living manifestation of the personification of prosperity and abundance. Lokhi, whose rural cult has deep roots in Bengal region. Her festival in Bengal coincides with the annual harvest during the farming cycle. In canonical text, one of her incarnation is called Bhudevi, literally Prithvi, as the nourishing mother earth. So this paper explores Lakshmi's footprint in the ecocultural landscape of Bengal and re-examine the folklore in search of valuable insights for sustainability. So Lakshmi as an earth deity, she is known as Padma or Kamala. The lotus is the lotus dwelling goddess. It is described as she is moist, perceptible through odor, abundant in harvest, dwelling in cow dung. She is associated with fecundity of the soil that is released only in the presence of moisture. So there are also Jataka stories where we have a reference to which portray her as driving away the goddess of misfortune or Kolonkini. Her extant earliest representation appear in early Buddhist art as Gaja Lakshmi. Her close association with Kubera, the Yaksha treasurer of gods, is visible in early Buddhist art. So this is a Gaja Lakshmi from Bharut. As we see, she is being anointed by two elephants on two sides. And this is again Gaja Lakshmi image from Sanchi. So as we know that women in the villages still worship Sri in the form of cow dung on certain villages, on certain occasions. And in the she's depicted of in the hymn, which is dedicated to Sri. It is said that she is eulogized with beautiful epithets such as lotus born, lotus colored, lotus eyed, lotus faced, lotus holding, and fond of lotus. So again, there is also, I've given a reference to the Purna Ghata or the filled urn, which is the symbol of earth goddess, which rises from the muddy waters to expand its delicate petals above the water surface. So this is again an image of Purna Ghata from Bharut. So Lakshmi is very much related to the agrarian rituals. So all of India's back country is the dominion of Lakshmi, the goddess of lotus. Her likeness are omnipresent on the walls, pillars, lintels, niches of sanctuaries, regardless of the deity of their specific dedication. With the staple paddy crop, another vegetal symbol of Lakshmi, set to bloom within the next few days, they pray to the goddess not just for drooping years filled nourishment, but also to ensure a bountiful harvest by sending her flocks of owl and birds the paddy field to eat away insects and rodents. Throughout North India, Lakshmi is worshipped in the festival of Diwali, which is held in late autumn. Agricultural motives are also very much evident in this festival, which takes place in some areas. Cultivators are enjoined to worship their crops and offer sacrifices of goats and sheep. Moreover, they visit dung hill, which is collected for manuring the field for future crops. As we see in Orissa and Deccan, heaps of cow dung are also worshipped on this day. Lakshmi is associated with crops and food on the Orissa on the occasion of Kaumudi Purnima festival. So in Bengal, the worship of Lokhi and Narayan is considered inauspicious if local aromatic varieties of rice called Govinda Bhog or Gopal Bhog is not used to prepare the offering of rice pudding. Here, the goddess Alokhi, the elder sister of Lakshmi, is believed to be the harbinger of misfortune and poverty. Even Olokhi is ritually first worshipped. After the puja, her idol is smashed with a katari amidst the loud chant in a chorus. Olokhi khetiye dilam, Ma Lokhi mathaye thakun. Hack the Alakshmi and Mother Lakshmi stay above our heads. The fragments are then carefully carried out of the house by male member of the household and thrown in garbage heap. Even in East Bengal, especially in Faridpur district, no Brahmin priest officiates this puja held in the months of Falgun Choitro. In a remote village of North Bengal called Bhatto Dighi in Raiganj, women farmers practice a unique ritual called Pak Pakhali. They filled an earthen urn with water, top it with mango leaves, green coconut, place it under a freshly planted neem tree, neem sapling that symbolizes goddess of farming. The sacred pot is adorned with ritual drawings of owls, storks, herons, egrets, all painted on white terracotta plates. So now we come to the cult of Lakshmi in Bengal. So she is worshipped on the Kojagori Purnima, which is an autumnal full moon night. And this season is also associated with the period of prosperity following the harvest cycle. So as we know that this celebration, it takes place where women and children draw colorful ritual patterns known as alpona that includes footprints of the goddess herself. Sounds of conch shell reverberate across the villages in the evening as ritual worship begins in full swing ahead of late night vigils to welcome the goddess. So this is an image of Lokhi pot. It is an earthen disc where a hand painting is done of the image. She is also worshipped in this form. This is the Lokhi Chapi, as we know, this is a wicker basket. This is the Lokhi Podo or the Alpona, which is made on the Lokhi Puja. So Lakshmi in the lore of Bengal. So as I have said in the introduction that Bengal has a rich tradition of oral tradition that spans more than 1 million. So this oral tradition is in the form of folk tales, riddles, maxim, chants, and folk song. So some of the proverb epitomize the idea of women bearing the burden of sustaining family life. Like Choto Khato Lokhi Manto, small, good-natured like the goddess Lakshmi. Rajar pape rajyo noshto, proja koshto paye, ginnir pape grihosto noshto, ghore lokhi ure jay. Like the king to his subjects, the misdeeds of a wife in a household may drive away the Lakshmi from the house. So Lokhi is archetypal bride because she personifies the perfectly domesticated, youthful female of high lineage whose arrival brings good fortune into household without necessarily calling attention to herself. Like her image is also used in the rural dialect, like Lokhi Chele, Lokhi Me, well-behaved and obedient boy and girl, Hate Paye Lokhi, one who religiously submits to the discipline of ideal family life, Lokhi Chara, who is bereft of grace and fortune. And there are various other same kind of epithets like Lokhi Moni, Lokhi Borjatri, Lokhi Bhandar, Lokhi Borputro, Lokhi Bilash, Hate Lokhi Paye Thala, ignoring the opportunity when it knocks on one's door. So now I come to the Khanas Bochon with maxims of Khana, where we have repeated use, like where there's reference to Lokhi as a harbinger of sustainable agrarian way of life. So this all these Khanas maxims, they convey the know-how about better farming to sustain communities rather than being liturgical texts that dictate the rituals of worshipping Lokhi with offerings. So Khana khai kore shabdo, Olokhi khushi, Lokhi jabdo. Literally, Khana, when she speaks while eating, Olokhi is happy and Lakshmi is subdued. So one should eat in silence to avoid misfortune, because it's very scientific that one may accidentally choke to death while talking or making noise. So Putro Bhagye Josh, Konna Bhagye Lokhi. Literally, a son blesses you with glory, a daughter brings Lakshmi. In the agrarian communities, men only plow with their draught animal, while the backbreaking work in the farm and fields such as rowing, harvesting, sowing, harvesting is left to the women. Okaje Bouri Dor, Lau Kutte Korotor. Literally, a young inexperienced wife, which is ideally modeled on Lakshmi, is inept at chores, is an expert in chopping bottle gourds. So, Kol Patla Dagor Guchi, Lokhi Bole Oikhane Achi. Literally, rice saplings planted apart makes Lakshmi utter that she will reside here. this is again a very scientific logic is there behind, because plants, both wild and domesticated, have immobile bodies and therefore compete with neighbors for air, water, nutrients, and sunlight. So rather than planting them randomly or closely, they are planted with spacing, a practice that is used even today. So there is another saying where uthon bhara lao shosha, ghore tar lokhir dosha. There is again a very scientific logic behind it, that a home which is home with courtyard which is full of bottle gourd and cucumber is favored by Lakshmi, because again, as we know that young fruits, whether it's lao or kumro or shosha, it can be consumed. They are nutritious and have a cooling properties. And also it's mentioned in Ayurveda as well as a folkloric system. So nothing is wasted as greens and peels get cooked. So there are several other examples. I'm not just, I'm avoiding it because due to paucity of time. So, dine rode, rate jol, din bare dhaner bol. So literally sun during daytime, water during the night, paddy crop grows with each day. So this again is a reference to the farming technique. Then hal norbar dudhe pani, lokhi bole chollam ami. Literally, if plow is not held firmly and milk is diluted with water, Lokhi bids one adieu. So this once again uses the metaphor of Lokhi to reaffirm the centrality of traditional agricultural productivity for the prosperity of subsistence farming communities. Jodi borshe magher shesh, dhonni rajar punni desh. Literally, if it rains at the end of Magh or February, the king is grateful and his subjects are happy. Magh is the 10th month in the Bengali calendar at the end of dry winter. Sporadic rainfall during this time invigorates the winter crops. So I'll just conclude by saying that this rereading of oral traditions provide a more sensitive understanding of the key role played by folkloric knowledge system in sustainably using human modified ecosystem for ensuring food, nutrition, and security. This provides valuable insights into underlying the link between ecology and folk belief system, which traditionally serve the purpose of resource conservation in direct or indirect ways. This study of folklore of Bengal reveals key concepts of human-environment relationship that is culturally transmitted through the use of the age-old metaphor or Lokhi. But Lokhi today is truly the women farmers who are the creator of resources, the ones whose day starts before sunrise and continues after sunset, whose voices often go unheard owing to their gender, and who struggle to establish their identity at grassroots level due to patriarchal tradition and gender socialization. Women are, as we know, of vital importance to rural communities, rearing poultry, small livestock, and even in many farming communities, women are the main custodians of knowledge on crop varieties. So let us celebrate this Lokhi Puja, not with just worshipping the idols of goddess Lakshmi, but also paying tribute to all such ladies who indeed bring in good luck and prosperity, not just to their respective household, but to the entire country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This was such a refreshing take on the intangible heritage that we have, but we fail to most of the time notice. And I would like to ask Mishra sir for his thoughts.
My apologies, because due to paucity of time, I couldn't. I have 50 slides.
Yes. No, ma'am. But it was still very poignant. Whatever you showed us was so poignant and so like for us, heritage include intangible and tangible heritage. So one cannot be understood without the other.
Exactly.
So yes, truly it was very, very enlightening. And Mishra sir, please join us. You are muted, I think. Yeah. I think.
Mishra sir, please unmute your mic.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Shriyas Chaudhary, wonderful lecture by you. That too at the Deepavali time. Any archaeologist would love to hear this lecture, because about Lakshmi, we are getting references from the very ancient times. In Puranas, in that ancient text, we get so many references of Lakshmi.
Yes, sir.
But I am very surprised to hear your lecture. We introduce the oral tradition and sustainable livelihood in Bengal, reference to Bengal. And you have made it so easy to understand that what is this Lakshmi as a earth deity. Usually we do puja of Lakshmi, we do puja for the form of puja, but we don't understand what is the meaning of Lakshmi as an earth deity. You have explained us so well about the Lakshmi and its agrarian rituals. That is another very interesting thing which you have explained. And the most interesting thing which I could hear from you was you have used many colloquial words of Bengali, where you have explained why these phrases and words are used, like Lakhi Jhapi, what it means, that you have cleared it. Lakshmi in the lore in Bengal. So that also you have mentioned in a very well and very easy way. Like you say, Khana Khaye Kore. Sorry, my Bengali is not very good, but Khana Khaye Kore Shobdo. Alaki Khushi Lucky Jobdo.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes,
I
sir.
don't
Yes, sir. Thank you.
wonderful. All these colloquials about Lakshmi, which I love to hear it. Then you say Putra Bhagya Jasha Kanya Lokhi, means son will have Jash and Kanya will have Lakhi. Kanya is the Lakshmi. So usually when Lakshmi is born, people are not very happy. But I am very happy. I have got 2 daughters and they are doctors, very eminent doctors.
Wow.
Very happy when I had a Lakhi. So thank you very much. It was very interesting lecture. And I have gone to your college many a times to deliver lecture in history department. That is 2 or 3 times in 2015-16. I would have met you, or we would have met. We don't remember. So thank you for giving us this knowledgeable information, and which we are enriched with your information. And I congratulate you for this very wonderful lecture. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you for such encouragement, sir. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Now, sir, I think we are finally at the end of the conference day 1. And sir, I would like to hear some concluding remarks from you. Then I can put the vote of thanks.
Okay, Anuja, I will give some concluding remarks. Actually, this was a very interesting seminar, I can say. That too on the subjects which was all related with the archaeological background. Many new informations we could get. So many times what happens is we are specialized in one field. And some archaeologist is an excavator, some archaeologist is an architectural expert, somebody has got some other experiences. But here you come across many new subjects and new topics, maybe iconography, maybe digitization of archaeological remains, and so important informations which we have got by Professor Durga Basu's all scholars. I on behalf of MAKAUT, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, which is a technology university. And here, with the help of Anuja Bose and me and the Vice Chancellor, we are making it more popular day by day. Almost every day we have some functions, we have some seminars, we have some other works. We are trying to increase our faculty. Very soon, my Vice Chancellor was very eager that we should have some more faculty members. So we will be increasing it, and this kind of seminars will go on for long. I have a special thanks to all those scholars who have delivered their very informative and scholarly lectures, which will be very much informative to all listeners who are waiting to hear all these lectures, and they must have been well informed about the subjects. So I again thank all of us, as we are running very short of time. Our end of the time was 5 o'clock, and we have taken it up to 7:15 now, 7:10. So those who are looking to this work, especially Mr. Prem, who must be waiting to go home, and this is all was so successful because of Mr. Prem, and I am sure Mr. Prem will cooperate with us tomorrow also likewise. And Vice Chancellor was a bit late actually, with some reasons or other reasons he could not, he was not informed very well. So tomorrow he is also joining us. I again thank you all, and I invite you as a viewer, as a listener for our tomorrow's program. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Tomorrow we will be meeting in this link, and tomorrow we also have 9 lectures, presentations by eminent scholars from all over India. We will like to invite you all again for tomorrow's session, and thank you. Thank you. The first and foremost thank you goes to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, for giving us this platform and always encouraging us to achieve new heights. And obviously all our presenters today, and our director, sir, and our eminent keynote speaker, Dr. Atul Verma. Thank you all the technical support we got from Prem ji, and thank you every and all the students and scholars who have been with us. Even they do not have any presentation, but they just wanted to listen, so they have actively participated. Thank you, everyone. I'm sure we will be meeting tomorrow in this platform again. Thank you.